Should be good to go if everybody can hear me. Maybe have the gain on the microphone a little too loud. Ooh, I wonder if you guys can hear that rain. As soon as I start the stream, it starts raining. Alrighty, let's get things started a little bit, because it's that time of the week. Kind of snuck up on me this time. Welcome to the Saturday Night Stream Thang, a live stream that happens on this channel every Saturday night starting at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Today, we have just the WALCOM, who was hopelessly unprepared, but I think this will be a pretty productive stream, because I do have some things that I want to get feedback and talk about on. Nothing really super exciting has happened in the hobby, I don't think, in the last couple of days, but I'm always open to suggestions. This should be the last one of the streams that is kind of like this. I have a plan going forward I'll give you guys some idea of, and of course I'd like to get your feedback, because chances are most of you that are in the chat right now are those who are religiously here for every Saturday Night Stream Thang. And while it's cool that I just get to sit here and talk to y'all, sometimes it boils down to, if the chat isn't good, I have to come up with something, and I'm not always the most creative person at that. Cody Dog, me too, went to go get pizza and got right back as the stream started. God, pizza sounds amazing right now. I actually, really want to have Chinese food for dinner, but there's chicken that I know needs to be cooked. So I'm curious what will happen. The Potato Biscuit, can you review the Foxfire Select from Impact 498 Etsy store? I do not have one, and I don't have the money to dump on something like that. I'm sure it's pretty good. I have the Lightning Bug, which is a fantastic blaster in my opinion. The only reason why you haven't seen an actual full-length video on this yet, beyond YouTube stories and stuff like that, is because it's hard to fill 8 minutes of content on this. There's not a whole lot to talk about. It's good, though. I highly recommend it. Use the chicken and make chicken fried rice. I believe, Lanix, we were going to do some kind of broccoli chicken curry. I'm not entirely sure. I still want, I'll float the idea to the significant other that I still want that, Chinese food from Safeway. Live stream texting. So how's everybody doing this week? Did it sneak up on everyone else like it snuck up on me? I'm gonna see if you see that rain? Isn't that fantastic? We need to get an outdoor cam. That'd be kind of cool, actually. There's a lot of things I have thoughts of for the future. Safeway Chinese is so good. Now I got a craving. Exactly. Zach knows what's up. Also, nice to see you. Did you get back from Montana? Big Sky Country? I'm never better. That's the correct attitude, Robert. Ooh, new hoodie. I've had this thing for months. I have just not worn it because it hasn't been hoodie weather, and I don't know if this is supposed to be some kind of insult, but everybody tells me that I'm a Discord mod, which is obvious. I mean, chances are a lot of people are Discord moderators, and they just throw that around. Now, I know that certain overweight gentlemen with beards that happen to be in Discord servers have a bad rap. I'm safe. I don't have to worry about it, but we got this beautiful Discord partner going on the sleeve right here. On this, we got that little whatchamacallit, and then we got Discord logo right here. Everything's reversed. And on the pocket, a little bit of Walcom stomach. We got a little nice Discord. Those are all different materials. In fact, the hoodie strings are thick shoelace kind of material. Really nice. Legitimately one of the nicest hoodies. Problem, this is supposed to be a 3X and it's a bit small on me. Hood works fine, and on the back of it, it's impossible for me to show you, but it's got a quilted Discord logo, which is really nice. Really nice. I survived waiting on a clear COVID test to get back to work. Have fun with that one, buddy. Who was who in the peanut butter debacle? That is true. I got some minor feedback from people saying stuff like, you know, this is not a NERF topic. Screw that. I got 151,000 followers. You don't think I'm going to ask the hard-hitting questions? Like, it's peanut butter, and it's actually a complicated and diverse subject. So let's actually talk about the peanut butter debacle, because that is all about the thing. We're gonna just literally stream. Let's see, can you do this? God, I hate Streamlab OBS so much, bro. It's so laggy, I'm just waiting for it to crash. Boom. Oh, it now says peanut butter. So, this happened because we were buying peanut butter at the store, the wife and I, and because I was like, I said, you know, like, every single time apparently you eat a hot dog, you lose 36 minutes off your life. But apparently every single time you eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, you gain 14 minutes. I'm gonna live forever. So, we picked up some peanut butter, but this is something that hasn't happened in a long time because I haven't had peanut butter I just haven't had it. When I was doing the diet and everything like that for, you know, 15, 16 months, I didn't have peanut butter. So, I picked up what I like, which is like extra crunchy peanut butter. God, I love extra crunchy peanut butter. That is my thing, right? And the wife hates it. Now, the thing you'll figure out as you're with someone for quite an amount of time is that when they hate something, you like it even more because that means it doesn't go away. It stays there. I tried to do this with cereal because I remember her saying that she didn't like Cinnamon Toast Crunch, which almost ended the relationship right then and there. But if you're smart, you realize that means I don't have to worry about somebody stealing my Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Now it's her favorite cereal ever, so that didn't work out for me. But I made a poll on the ever-lovable YouTube thing that I never use enough of, which now I'm going to try to use it daily just because I can. But I put up 2 polls. The non-NERF related one was, it basically just says crunchy peanut butter or creamy peanut butter. It's a topic that I honestly swung in the way I kind of expected, but I'm still disappointed in y'all. Luchathor, I couldn't vote, but creamy on most stuff and crunchy solely on a PB&J sandwich. You know, I could pick my friends pretty good, and I think Lucha's a pretty good man right there. So, now that it's been over a day, I can reveal that I am a crunchy peanut butter fan. I think crunchy peanut butter is better in every single possible way. It's a texture thing. I don't think eating slime on top of slime in between 2 soft pieces of bread constitutes a very good sandwich. It's like would you ever have willingly like a piece of bologna and then like some mustard between 2 pieces of bread and you just get nothing but like a slimy sandwich? Like, you wouldn't even put lettuce or tomato, you just want like bologna or even just lunch meat. Just flat lunch meat too. You're like some kind of animal. You didn't even like roll it up or fold it over. Just flat piece of lunch meat and then like a condiment on a sandwich. Right? Creamy for dipping and cooking. Debatable. Crunchy for spreading and eating out of the jar. Correct. Mr. Blues, I like smooth peanut butter on muffins and crunchy on sandwiches. I've never had peanut butter on a muffin. Use toast. There's your crunch. Not wrong, but also I don't want to toast my peanut butter and jelly sandwich because I don't exactly want to have something that's like soft in the middle and then hard on the outside. I generally actually, when I was younger, I used to like toasted sandwiches a lot more, but recently I'm more of like a cold sandwich kind of guy. McDoyle, meat, bread, sauce. Nothing wrong with this. I mean, like, not even lettuce, huh? Like, you know, if you're hungry, you're hungry. I'm not going to fault you on that. But we're talking like you have a choice. You have everything you need to make whatever sandwich you want. And you're going to go with bread, flat slice of meat, some condiment, another piece of bread, and eat that. Or maybe even a piece of cheese in there. Like, that's how you're going to do your sandwich? You're going to do it dirty like that? Screw lettuce, add more meat. Well, hey, there's a thing going on here. You realize bacon's crunchy. It's got that nice texture to it. Why is bacon on like every sandwich now? I don't think I've ever had crunchy peanut butter since Arya Rose. That's, it's something, you know, judging by the results of our poll, which you could check on the, you could check it on the community tab. Crunchy peanut butter, out of 3.2 thousand votes, crunchy peanut butter, 33%. Creamy peanut butter gain, 67%. So if this was a Splatfest, I'm still gonna give the skill level up to crunchy peanut butter bros. But in terms of actually winning the Splatfest and being the most popular, probably creamy peanut butter, just because they had such an overwhelming majority out there on the field. So, apparently I am wrong. But I think it's the kids who are wrong. Some people have childlike preferences, and that means no veggies. Hot take. Travis, you are 1,000% true. I have had many adult friends, I don't speak to them much anymore, that were like, oh, I don't eat anything green. Oh, I don't eat anything green. No, I just bread and meat all the way, all day. It's like, do you have the palate of a 5-year-old? Like, throw some lettuce on that bish. You're right, McDoyle. There is nothing wrong. Eat how you like and how you can afford. I'm a poor boy, man. I know how it goes. But this was a hotly contested debate. This was real science being dropped. We have to be pretty strict on our scoring regimen here. There is in fact a wrong way to go about things. I'm sure I do many things that you would find disturbingly wrong. Lettuce equal crunchy water. Yes. You know what? Yeah, no, it's like I know Lucha because that mother sucker eats salads. Like, we'll go to like it really just anywhere. He's always like, you know what? I'm feeling a salad. Can I get a salad? I'm like sitting here with my 14 cheeseburgers. He's like, yeah, I want a salad. It's like, apparently being around me drives him to eat properly. Toasted waffles and cream and peanut butter, fire taste. Toasted waffles with crunchy peanut butter, even better. Also, I'm going to throw this out there. This might be a weird thing. Do you ever butter the bread and then put peanut butter on it? Is that just a weird thing that I like because my grandpa forced that on me when he made my school lunches when I was a kid? Or is that legit good? Just ketchup on a hot dog is wrong to me. I mean, I don't disagree. I will do mustard only on a hot dog, but I'm not much of a ketchup fan. I've heard of buttering the bread. I've done that. It's good, says Nikolai. Are you a furry? No, far from it. What's your favorite Pepsi? Asks Brian. We can maybe talk about that. Don't know if I had, besides like cherry Pepsi. I mean, man, it is, dudes. Look at that. Oh, let's get some live weather forecasting action. If I can reach the, look at that. Oh, yeah. Is that not crazy? Looks like it's snowing out there and it's just freaking rain. Which is like, it's like one of the first times I've ever been in the studio and it's raining. It's quite comfy. Chili and cheese. Butter good, no argument. Butter on toast, but not bread. Okay. Do you butter your bread before you use it for PB&Js? Yes, that's what I was talking about, Ty. I like mango Pepsi. I thought it was okay. I've had better. Tropical Punch Pepsi? I've never had that. That sounds kind of amazing. Is chocolate with peanut butter fire? I mean, yeah, but then it's either mostly you like peanut butter or you like chocolate. I just happen to like peanut butter. The sound of rain makes me sleepy. That's true. I prefer a smooth PB with marshmallow fluff over PB&J. Well, that sounds crazy. I'm mildly autistic and I can't stand certain textures in food because of sensory stuff. I agree, but I could probably stand crunchy peanut butter. So, like, when I eat a donut, I like a cake donut. I specifically like a cake donut with, like, granulated sugar cinnamon on the outside of it because I like that kind of rougher texture. That's me, though. I can hear it like ASMR. It is pretty freaking loud out there. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Before I forget, would you try the Flaming Hot Mountain Dew if I brought some? Yes. Are you saying you're coming over? Because I'm lonely. Jesus is turning into an AMSR. I can shut the window. You guys want me to shut the window, or do you want to enjoy the nice, you know, lo-fi in the background with the Walcom talking in a nice, sultry, and succulent way with the rain? Coney Dog backing me up with the cake donuts or God tier. Nah, nice background noise. All right. All right. They call me Socks. Hear me out. Potato sandwich roll, butter on top, and then put a handful of the most greasy chips you enjoy. Smush it and enjoy. So there's nothing besides butter and chips. Socks, I don't know about that one. That just sounds like wasted calories. That's Troy the Tinkerer. This stream is clogging up my artist. We're literally talking about peanut butter. You know the one thing that sounds good? A medium toasted egg and bacon sandwich with Parmesan cheese and small hash brown squares. It's like one of those threads you see on like forums or like, what's your gamer food? And then everybody's like, water, fatty. Just drink water or a piece of celery. And it's like, you know, those people have nothing to enjoy left in life. What am I drinking? This lukewarm Busch Light Apple, because it's fantastic. And I can't find it anywhere else besides Fred Meyer, and I hope Fred Meyer still has some, because it's good. Chips on a hoagie is a thing near Philly. I mean, I will definitely have chips in a sandwich, D-Creeper, but I won't have just chips in a sandwich. I need something else in there. Have you tried peanut butter and ice cream? I mean, I've never put scoops of peanut butter in ice cream, but I like peanut butter and I like ice cream and I like peanut butter ice cream. I don't know, man. I mean, Tim's jalapeno chips would be god tier like that. Butter, Tim's, and we might have to do like some kind of weird cooking stream at some point. I like PB and mayo on a peanut butter and mayo on a burger. It's called a goober burger. That reminds me of, like, I had a shit posting image where I'd post this thing from apparently a real restaurant, where it was like it was a burger patty that's stuffed with mini Reese's peanut butter cups with like barbecue sauce and like crunchy onions and stuff on it. And I thought it was a joke, but apparently it was a real thing. And apparently that might be actually legitimate. People may actually like that. Do you listen to Nightcore? Not particularly, UT. Mayo and peanut butter burger. That sounds so whack. Cooking with Walcom, yeah. I mean, we have the studio for it. We technically could. Yeah, but they're not using, like Jif or anything with it, right? Tastes like straight up sin. I had a friend that would fry his peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. I thought that was kind of over the top. When you get hit by a car, but the cookies aren't far. Opinion on Chips Ahoy ads. I've never seen a potato biscuit. Interesting. Very interesting. It's the peanut butter is pronounced Jif. There's a local hot dog shop that has a French fry option in the menu with chili cheese and a number of others. Well, it's like, what is that? That burrito that Luchathor got me that was like the best thing ever was like, it had fries in it. It was like, holy crap. I ate 2 of them. Do you have a mod guide on the Pharaoh? No, I do not. Mod guides don't get views. They just don't anymore. It's kind of one of those things where it's like, unless I'm being paid in a different way, I wouldn't really do mod guides. And if I were to do mod guides, I'd probably upload them, like, unlisted or something. Because, like, the problem with, like, a mod guide with something like that is that, like, unless it's a super popular blaster, then it's not being picked up by anyone. California style burritos, that's the term for the fries. Yeah, okay. Those were good. Oh my god, everybody wants to talk about video games. We were talking about peanut butter. What's the lightest Nerf gun? I mean, realistically, probably a Jolt. A X-Shot Micro might be lighter than a Jolt, but probably a Jolt. Deep fried Oreos are bussin'. I mean, I have limits. I know I'm a big guy, but even I have my limits, you know. It is. It's really pouring out there. It's a great night. Not everybody gets to just chillax. Beautiful studio. That's a mess because I've been organizing a lot of things. I've been doing a lot of work up here the last couple of days. I moved a shelf and I've been working on the dart catch, which is kind of an important thing to have because dart catches make things a heck of a lot easier. That's kind of been my objective for the past 2 or 3 days. I'm still not completely done yet, but I think I have a system down. Most of that's thanks to Coney Dog, because Coney Dog's the one who brought it up last night at like, what, 2 o'clock in the morning, Coney? You freaking, oh. I was like laying in bed, basically about to go to sleep. I was munching on, what was I eating? I was eating something and watching Ashen's latest video. And then all of a sudden, freaking Coney pops up. He's like, hey, so for your dart catch, what you could do is you could put down like a rug or a mat or something, and then just like let the darts land on the rug or the mat, and then pick the mat up, and that way you can pour all the darts into a bin. And like, that's a freaking genius idea, Coney. And that's like the easiest way. Yeah, I was eating garlic bread. That is like the easiest way to do the dart catch. So my plan right now is a little bit beyond that. What I plan to do for the dart catch is I plan on making a, like, basically taking 3 long sections of wood, like, you know, whatever those 1x2s or whatever the wood I have is, and I'm gonna staple the dart catch material to them and lay it on the floor. So what's gonna happen is when I pick up each end of the basically just grab the long ends of the wood and pick it up, I can fold the dart catch in kind of like a taco and just empty the darts towards me into a bucket, which means I don't have to worry about hinges or lifting stuff out of the way or sliding things or anything. I literally just bend down, grab these things, and I can kind of like put some tracks so they're not just on the ground, they're slightly elevated above the ground. Just reach up, grab it, dump the stuff into a bucket. It's not automatic, but it's gonna be reliable, and that'll work perfectly fine for a dart catch. PB&J with garlic bread, is that a thing? Well, it is now. Hey, Walcom, I just started working on a mod for the Speed Swarm. Good luck. Basically, I'm adding a stock and a barrel attachment point and maybe overfolting it. Just wanted to let you know. That's when you're probably going to want to put a spring upgrade in, too. I don't know if you can find a spring upgrade for it in 2021, but they used to have, like, Orange Modworks springs and stuff for them. The issue with, like, my dart catch as opposed to other kinds of dart catches is that I need to have the screen, the Gunpower SMT in the back of it. Because obviously I'm going to shoot the screen. So I need to have a way to still get to that screen and still, you know, record footage and turn the screen off and stuff like that and grab an SD card. But at the same time, I need to be able to shoot it and not have to worry about spending, you know, minutes picking up darts. So that's kind of like where we're at with the whole dart catch thing. And it's kind of a pain to come up with something that will look good and work well. But if it's literally just darts bouncing onto the floor, it doesn't matter, because then all I have to do is, like I said, bend down, pick up the long sticks, kind of put them together so it turns into a chute, and just basically lift it up and have the darts roll into a bucket at my feet. So the idea is kind of similar to like one of those carnival games or arcade games where you have a you know, some kind of like, you know, throw a football or throw a basketball or something like that. Something similar to that, but less automatic. Is the Caldwell Ballistic Precision Chronograph worth it? It is. It's not the only option. That's probably one of the better ones if you're going to use it for like measuring demolisher rockets and stuff like that. But most of the time you could get by with just like an airsoft chronograph. What's the strongest hitting elite blaster? Why is my camera focused on my microphone? What is the strongest hitting elite blast? They all kind of hit the same, to be perfectly honest. Like, the Bees blaster is one of the strongest hitting stock Nerf dart shooters I've ever had, so. Everybody's like, hey, this is the problem with like listening to the chat, which is why I tend to ignore so many people. When everybody's asking me either what's my opinion on something that I've already talked about a million times, or they're asking me what's my opinion on something that has nothing to do with the current conversation I don't care about, or they're still talking about what we were talking about like 14 minutes ago. That's why I'm trying to do things with like some kind of here's what we're talking about kind of thing, and it's technically failing. So I'm just going to keep talking and ignoring the chat because that's what I have to do to get things back on track. Hey, that rhymed. So, I got a much better setup right now for getting footage when I'm shooting at the target. The reason for doing that is because, as you could probably tell by the weather, it's going to start being hard to get outdoor footage. Now, I know outdoor footage is important because people who don't Nerf want to know, like, what the actual distance is. But, it's a big but. Coop is the most popular of basically any of the core nerfers and doesn't use range footage. Drac, until recently, used to just fire the blaster off into the distance. You could never see where the dart was going. And you'd go like, yeah, that's 800 feet. Yeah, that's a good blaster. And you would never know. You couldn't see the dart. I couldn't see the dart. I could have that thing on a 4K monitor. You would never see that dart. Especially when it's shot at like 24 or 30 frames a second. There's just no way. So, a compromise for me is using the target. And the reason why the target works is because you could tell if the blaster is weak, I have to like angle and compensate for it. And if the blaster's super strong, well, it's so hard to get good footage of high velocity blasters, especially anywhere from like, you know, 150 to 250 FPS. It's so difficult to get good footage of that. The option is, of course, build a range. Problem, I live in Washington. Even if I built something tomorrow, it's probably not going to survive the winter. So, my caveat is, of course, using the range that we're trying to build. So, the dart catch is a good place to start for that, because that means I can actually shoot the target and actually get more content out of it without having to constantly bend over and pick up darts and stuff like that, which, I mean, for my size is not great. And if you try to, like, sweep up darts, technically you usually destroy them at that point, which is something I'd like to avoid. So I think we're onto a good point with the dart catch. What I'd like to do to finish the dart catch in the future, and this is going to be, I don't know when this is going to happen because it's kind of expensive. I'm still going to utilize it because I have an idea. I would like to make it more automatic, but I think the solution that Coney came up with is probably the way to go for right now. I want to get theater curtains for each side of the dart catch, because that will help narrow down, you're not distracted by all the boxes and stuff in the way. And then I'd also like to get lighting that goes above the dart catch in a line without, like, hopefully something that can shine down without signing any glare on the actual screen itself. And I would like to get, like, some lighting that goes on the back of the dart, like on the back wall, something nice and colorful RGB that I can play with. Those are the things that I hope to get done super soon, but money is extremely tight, which is why one of the reasons we're probably going to talk about is stuff that I have planned for the Patreon. I have not tried to drive anything to Patreon in months now, because it's something that's a sore spot for me at the moment, since I haven't been able to do the things that I've wanted to do, but I spent the last couple of days coming up with ideas and writing them down. But get that done, and then I have a really nice indoor range. I think that's a better than, you know, just shooting in a hallway, because there's actually an interactive element there. And I would like to get your opinions on if you need to have outdoor range footage. Is it absolutely required? Because where I live, that makes it pretty difficult. And one of the things that I ran into all the time when I lived back at the other place was it was constantly raining. and I had no way of, like, I had to go outside and, like, have somebody either hold an umbrella for me or set up some kind of pop-up tent, which I couldn't leave there. It was a shared yard, so I had to take it back down, and that means shooting 2 minutes of range footage could take me 15-20 minutes, and it sucked. So there's a lot to say that, like, just doing the standard, you know, shooting at the target, as long as I can make that pretty. And that's one of the things that I've been spending my time doing the last couple of days. Now, I obviously have switched it so I can put the camera farther back, get a good shot of, I liked, if you saw my last video, I liked how I could get all of me and the target in frame, but then on the other side of the frame still had the full input from the target. I thought that was pretty good. So that's something that I'm hoping turned out rather well. I didn't get a lot of feedback on that, so I'd love to hear it if you have some. And then I tried to get, like, footage of me just shooting at the target, but that's why I had to move a shelf, is because I couldn't put the camera far enough back to get all of me in frame and then still be able to have the target in the side of the screen.
Haven't been here in a while, but it's good to be back. Question: how do you feel about stock blasters these days? Since most companies are going different ways, I'm curious of your opinion.
Thank you very much for the $50 donation. I guess, is that not updating? I'm going to turn off that for a second. Is it still not focused? Are you focusing on this? It feels like I'm not in focus. I'm going to go like this. And then I'm going to tap my face. I will answer your question in just a second, because I think it's an important one. It's a great topic, actually. Thank you very much for the $50. Holy crap, that will go a long way. What do I think about stock blasters? I think stock blasters are becoming more and more of this diverse. It's going to be divisive, I think is actually the word I want to use. So let's talk about HVZ. We have not, to my knowledge, had an HVZ event since things like the Dart Zone Pro and the Nexus Pro and stuff have existed. Now, HVZ is capped at 130 FPS for safety reasons. That is, by the community standard, a velocity that is technically okay to be shot at without eye protection. That doesn't mean it's good. It just means there's less of a chance of getting hurt. That's not true, but I guess there is less of a chance, and you roll with it. The reason for the lack of eye pro in HVZ is because zombies typically don't like wearing eye pro. And humans don't usually have things coming at them, so they typically don't have to worry about eye pro in general. I can tell you, as somebody who's been to numerous Dart Wars, that eye pro is very difficult for me to find something that I absolutely love. I have glasses. I'm nearsighted, so I can see things close up, but I can't see things far away all that well. I can drive just fine, but I feel better when I have glasses on. So having my glasses, this is technically eye protection. It will protect me against pretty much everything other than like a, 150, 200 FPS shot directly to my face. But anything from the sides, top and bottom, that's where I'll run into issues with glasses. So you can buy other glasses that have complete wraparounds. That's what Dr. Flux did. He bought those nice new shades that he's been wearing in his recent videos, which look awesome. Problem: he has also can't see anything at all with them on. It's almost entirely cosmetic, and when he nerfs with them on, he accepts the fact that he can't see and stuff with them. But having this kind of thing for like HVZ could become a problem. Like having everybody have to have eye pro on 24/7, especially an event as large as like End War and stuff like that, could become an issue. So we have not had an HVZ, to my knowledge, with these blasters yet. The problem with the blasters is that they typically hit over 150 to 160 FPS, and there's something you could buy at a Walmart near the location that you're going to be playing at. So that's an issue. That's a huge issue, and it's a problem that I don't think anybody's actually solved because we haven't had to really deal with it yet. Even though it's been, a couple of years now, it's something that we haven't dealt with. When it comes to like actual stock, like let's just talk about Dart shooters, like without the pro stuff, without Rival, without Hyper, this has kind of been an issue, but not much as one, because I think it's kind of flown under the radar until very recently. But 130 FPS will cover all of Dart Zone's products. Then you got NERF products, which most of them now, correct me if I'm wrong, the one reason why we're so hard on NERF is because back in the day, we used to look at a blaster and it would be either be super fun, or it would be a blaster that sucks, but has some mod potential. But NERF has gone out of its way to kind of make things, like, not out of its way, they're trying to save pennies here and pennies there. They're trying to make it seem like you can't modify their blasters. The Elite 2.0, for instance, couldn't really be modified. Then you got the Flip series. And then the stuff they have coming out, like the Roblox blasters, I don't really think most of those are going to be modifiable either. I haven't seen any mods on like any NERF products that are new in a very long time. They're just not like the Knockout was like, and the Chronos and stuff, those were pretty much the last ones. And those were converting rival to not rival is how those became popular. So Ultra is kind of hitting that. We got like the drop-in kit for the Pharaoh, which I'm still going to do a video on. You'll see that next week. Then we've got some upgrades like dropping better flywheel cages and stuff and converting Ultra blasters to shoot normal darts and getting good performance, but you can put that in basically any flywheeler. It's becoming more and more like we're not happy with NERFs, so there's not like a whole lot of easy things to upgrade, so they've kind of dropped out of favor for what Dart Zone has been giving us. You got Busby. Typically Busby blasters are never really that great. They're budget orientated, but typically they can be modified pretty easily. And that's still true. You can still buy, Busby still makes a copy of the Champion, which is like common, modifiable, big plunger tube, mag-fed pistol thing. They still make a copy of that. So you can still pick one up. Pretty good. But like the problem is like your miles will vary, your catch will snap, your plunger tube will snap, your tire shell will snap because it's Busby quality. Then you got X-Shot, who puts out like maybe 1 or 2 blasters a year. maybe. Last year all they put out was the Crusher, and in 2021, as far as I know, they have not put out a single, maybe the Crusher was this year, I don't remember, but they have not put out a single new blaster that I've seen. So of all the companies, it's kind of like all the Dart Zone products I've pretty much ever seen have been modifiable. Like even the Tomahawk, which we found out thanks to Buff Daddy, the flywheel cage is part of the shell. That's rough, man. But people got around it. You know what they did? They clipped out the original cage, like the support walls and the screw posts, and just put in their own cage. And that makes it possible. You can also just cut out that entire section of the shell and slide something else in there and just epoxy it or adhere it to the side of the shell of the Tomahawk. That will work. Really not a whole lot of issues. Basically everything they put out can be modified, and that's kind of like why it's supplanted NERF for basically everyone in the chat, myself included, is that Dart Zone just puts out good stuff that you can tinker with. They're not sitting here. That's actually kind of the cool thing about being Dart Zone at this day and age. If somebody gets their eye shot out with a Nexus Pro, it will look bad for Walmart, maybe, but they're still going to call it, they lost their eye to a NERF gun. And so it all falls back on Hasbro. So basically, Dart Zone is pretty much a rock star that can get away with anything right now. And they have been kind of pushing the limits of what they can do. And I love it. It's not even counting the pro stuff, but just their general blasters hit harder, and they fire good darts. The plastic quality is good enough, and the designs are pretty okay. I still think in terms of like design-wise, NERF is better. I think most of the NERF stuff, they have designs down pretty good. Pharaoh looks great. The Amp looks great. The Select, in my opinion, looks great. Most of the Dart Zone stuff is kind of like, it's not bad. Could be better, could be cooler. It's not very often I see a Dart Zone blaster, I'm like, oh my god, the design of that is amazing. I absolutely love it. Even things like the Dart Zone Pro Mark II is like, it's not bad looking, but it could be better. In terms of like actual cosmetics. That's completely subjective. Let's scan through the chat just a little bit. And I have like not seen a single question in regards to what we're actually talking about right now. Yes, the Swift video. Thank you very much, Commander Wolf. I appreciate it. So, in terms of like stock blasters, I think HVZ is going to be interesting to see what happens. Right now, like you're not going to be using anything but old NERF for HVZ. It's probably going to be mostly Dart Zone. I would not be surprised to go to an event and see mostly Dart Zone products. Now, there's still a stigma for like parents and of course kids that Nerf is the best, buy Nerf, it's Nerf or nothing. But that's so dependent on, I realize that the reason why Nerf does what they do now is because they aren't going to use another company's ammo type, essentially, in short darts, to push their product, which is why they've worked so hard on making ammo recently that can't be cloned. I would not be surprised if Nerf darts, the elite kind, almost completely fall out of, just completely die. They have Hyper, they have Rival, they have Ultra, and they might have something else in the future, who knows. But they're not going to make a short dart shooter, because there's no reason to. So what they're going to do instead is they're just going to try to make the most gimmicky that they can get done. In terms of what, Hasbro has come out recently, we got all the Roblox blasters. They're all gimmicks, pretty much. The one that stands out above all the rest is probably the Honey Blaster, because that one is a lever action. We don't get enough of those. You could get, the Pulse Blaster, the rifle thing or whatever, but that's just a Strife. It's the same thing. It's the same mechanics, it's just in a different shell. Which is not, that's one of the things that I have a problem with when it comes to Nerf, is that they tend to put out blasters that are reshells, which shouldn't be a bad thing, but all they do is just slap the same thing in a different shell and never try to improve on any of the aspects, which is super disappointing. They could, Dart Zone, basically, if you look between the Command Fire, the Destructor, and then the recent Matrix Fire, all three of them are subtly different in various ways. They all have slightly different feeding mechanisms, slightly different agitation methods, slightly different firing mechanisms. They're all different. None of them are really superior than the other. Ricky Rodriguez with a $16 boot.
Boop.
Boop. Thank you very much, Ricky. I think we forget that the main market for Nerf is kids. Questionable, and we are doing what we want, powerhouse blasters. See, that's not the thing, right? We gave Nerf passes back then because when a Strife came out, it only shot 70 FPS, but we could modify it. When a Rapid Strike came out, it only shot 70 FPS, but we could modify it.
Do you think the 130 FPS cap will be raised to accommodate Dart Zone's AF Pro line, or that those blasters will be banned from HVZ events unless they're tuned down? Loving the conversation, but haven't heard you speculate on this yet. Sorry if I missed it.
You did not miss it, NSA Key. Thank you very much for the insightful topic, and thank you very, very much for the $25 super chat, or the donation. Donations are better than super chat, guys. Super chats, YouTube takes a cut. Donations, direct donations at WALCOMS7.com. YouTube doesn't get that. Don't give them more money. They get enough of my money. The FPS cap will be raised, is your first part of your question. I honestly don't know. Is there really that much of a difference between 150 and 130? Would it be easier to ban the blasters outright? Yes. However, something that I should mention is that every single HVZ I've been to, WVZ, End War, Ragnar Oktoberfest, the three biggest HVZ events on this continent that I know of, all three of them required you to have your blaster cronied before they would allow you to use it. You had to check your blaster. Wherever my regulator is, I still have the little, they basically put a little green zip tie on it, which is their way of saying, hey, we checked your blaster, it's good to go. That doesn't stop people from doing something to change their blaster. For instance, when I used the Command Fire Gauntlet, all I did was shove a 2S LiPo in there and got it under 130. If I wanted to, I could just swap it back to the 3S LiPo and hit 170s. But I don't, and this also goes for the fact that I'm me, and that's gonna sound bad, but the end of the day, it kind of just means that I have no desire to ever cheat or do anything like that. In fact, doing something like that would be stupid because it would kill my channel. If I shot some little kid in the face with a 200 FPS blaster when it's supposed to be 130, I would look like the biggest scum of the earth, and I would feel like the biggest scum of the earth. I try not to shoot kids in general. Is that something that we necessarily have to worry about in the future? Maybe they'll change FPS caps, and I honestly wonder if that extra 20 FPS is really going to matter that much. But it does fundamentally change the game. However, it does fundamentally change the game. I do want to point out, this is something that I have talked about a little bit in the past, but FPS caps, the higher you go, I would say the better balanced the game is. So, I'm going to change the text really quick while I roll onto the segue. The reason why I bring that up is because when you have a lower FPS cap, basically rate of fire wins all. That's because the lower you get, the easier it is to get something like a Percy's, a Proton Pack, and so forth, that could just absolutely dumpster everyone. If your FPS cap is 130, there is absolutely no reason for me to never use anything that's not a Proton Pack. Full stop. It would be absolutely stupid. But here's the problem. You start to make your game unfun. Because
to me, for HVZ, the blaster needs to be fun and usable. I don't really care for FPS. What do you think?
We'll talk about that, Paige. Give me a second. When you have a lower FPS cap, there's basically no reason for me to not use. If I want to win, I'm going to be using a Proton Pack. Now, Paige might think otherwise, but here's the problem with that, Paige. The problem is that the game organizer knows there's going to be min-maxers to hell and back, and they're going to do everything they can to make sure that game is as oppressive and unfun for them as possible. I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt that when I played End War, it was the most unfun HVZ I had been to. I'd been to 3 others previous to that, and End War was the least fun. Why? Because it was the sweatiest, most hardcore of all of them. Nearly everybody had some kind of high-end blaster, and basically every top-tier nerfer that you would see in every Discord, Reddit, so forth, was there with essentially a min-max setup. And then there's Beret, but we'll get to that. The point is, even for somebody like Paige who wants to use something that's just fun and effective, which I would argue 99% of blasters made within the last couple of years would be fun and effective, they still have to cater the game around the 1% or 2% or 5% or 10% of people that are going to be using things like Proton Packs. Think about the power one person with a Proton Pack has at 130 FPS cap in an HVZ game. They can wipe out entire squads in seconds by themselves, and they can do it time and time again. Heck, if you really wanted to be nasty, you could basically have 2 Proton Packs, both lids. You could have a quick thing so people could just you can have people that refill your Proton Packs for you. You don't need to have 3 people with Proton Packs. You need 1 person with a Proton Pack, 2 of them preferably in case one gets jammed, and just have 1 or 2 people that service the Proton Pack person by filling them up with ammo and quickly identifying any faults with one of the blasters. And they would be absolutely stupidly effective. Throw in 1 or 2 other people that has some kind of like Demolisher rocket thing, Mega thing, so forth, and you get to see what the problem is. From a game design standpoint, that person is nearly a god. However, if you change things up a little bit, if you have a higher FPS cap, and maybe you start giving Zeds blasters. Just a thought. It's got a whole nother can of worms, but let's just say that your FPS cap's now 150 or 200. Let's go with 200, because that's kind of like my sweet spot. 200 FPS, the Proton Pack is still effective, but it is not the end all. It is not the period at the end of the sentence. It has limits. It is inaccurate, and at longer ranges, that person has to dump almost 40 or 50 rounds to hit a target that would be tagged out in 1 or 2 rounds from a Caliburn or a Nexus Pro or something like that. So the game becomes immensely more balanced because of that. The issue then starts to rise that, like, now at 200 FPS, it's harder for flywheelers and just flywheelers in general. I'll just stick with that. It's harder for flywheelers in general to be effective because flywheelers are inherently less accurate. Flywheelers typically just use volume of fire in a less degree than a Proton Pack, although a Proton Pack is a flywheeler, and we'll deal with that in the future. So the game then favors heavily on pump action springers or anything that could reload fast and have a magazine and shoot a dart. Because then one-shot tags are that much more effective. And while you can still get tags with flywheelers and you can still use your Proton Packs, you're going to still be dealing with basically nothing but Caliburns or whatever, Nexus Pros, Dart Zone Pros, whatever. You're going to be dealing with mostly that. And there's still, like, there are going to be people, again, it highly depends on the person. There are people who will absolutely run circles around me with a Maverick, and I could have the best blaster in the game. It doesn't matter. They will beat me. That's how it goes. But you kind of run into that issue now, where it's lopsided. You have more people, even though you can get flywheelers up to that point, the game isn't really necessarily balanced around it. So how do you fix something like this? It's more difficult than you would think, but I've always firmly stand from, this is like literally episode 1 Walcom. The way you balance that is through the actual arena itself, the place you are playing. You need to balance it to where there are short sight lines, there are flanking routes, and there are long sight lines. So if somebody is aiming down, a 150-foot hallway, well, they better have multiple places that they have to look that won't be 150 feet long, so they don't always have the advantage. Because in a 70-foot hallway, let's just literally have 70 feet, and you can have somebody with a 100 FPS blaster and somebody with a 200 FPS blaster. Both of them can tag each other out. One has to arc their shot, but both of them can tag each other out. That makes the game more balanced, but if you have, let's say, let's go to like the Caliburn or something like a Lynx. Let's do the Lynx. This is a best example. You could have a Lynx. You could put a 18.5 kilogram long shot spring in a Lynx, and it's still a pump action slam fire blaster. Now it just hits like 300 FPS. It's stupid. Good luck ever slam firing that thing. You can, but you're never really gonna want to do it.
Damn senpai, be wise though.
Thank you, Paige. Thank you for the $2 Canadian. The point is, if I were to take that exact same blaster, basically don't even have to change the barrel, and I put in a spring that is so stupidly light, I basically prime it with 2 fingers, now I'm hitting 110, 120 FPS, same accuracy, but now I can slam fire it buttery smooth. I have a far faster rate of fire and everything like that. That's why Nerf modding is so much fun. That's why Nerf modding has so much going for it. Who's texting me? Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, okay. I completely forgot what day it was. So, you can very, very easily balance a game between both those kinds of blasters, and you can even have the same blaster, but one's tuned for one thing, one's tuned for the other. That's the fun of Nerf modding, and that's the kind of thing that you can do, but when you're using a pre-made location like HVZ, that kind of thing becomes a little bit more difficult, and it becomes a lot more difficult when you have game designers trying to balance around that. So they have to kind of try to put objectives and make events and stuff happen in these specific points where they can still have basically everybody be effective. So in my opinion, I think FPS caps can probably go up in HVZ. If we're gonna make sure everybody has a blaster that's already shooting at a certain point, we could definitely make it so iPro is almost mandatory at the events anyway. I have seen lots of people in HVZ without iPro, but I've also seen moderators tell people to put iPro on. It's one of those things that I just don't know if we could win at, but we're there. We're getting really, really close to seeing where things will go from here. I think it's going to take an event. I think it's going to take an end war or two to really solidify things, but I firmly believe we can go higher and have a more interesting game. But at that point, if you're going if you're going to have legit snipers at End War and stuff like that, at an HVZ, you have to give the zombies something to fight back with. Now they do that. They do it a lot of different ways. We have seen unstunnables, which are people that basically you shoot them with any blaster and they have to pause for 5 seconds, but they can keep going, but they can only walk. So they're not fun to play against, because you're basically being corralled. You're constantly having to move and walk. You can't fortify a position because that person will not go down no matter what. You have people who throw socks or loofahs. Those are usually spitters. You have hydras, which are usually people that have one person with multiple people tied up with strings or something like that, that the purple in front can block basically everything, but the main body, if they're hit, everybody's gone. You can probably start throwing in HVZ, zombified troopers and stuff like that. They have not 100 and they're not 200 FPS blasters, but give them 130 FPS blasters and make like a small squad of them. They can't run, but they can shoot back kind of thing. That might be interesting to have. Like, if there's a thing in HVZ, people will find a way around it, basically. There's always, like, people ambushing. There's always large group of zombies, and then there's a solo zombie that gets absolutely everyone. It is crazy. Trying to catch up with the chat here. Patrolling the Georgia campus at End War almost makes you wish for a nuclear winter. What were you going to say about Brett at End War? Because Brett will use whatever literally he wants. He will use a banana and get tags. He survived until the last absolute game at End War using just a Maverick. I don't know how many tags he got, but it's also like Brett is kind of like the peak physical form for NERF. He's not very tall. He's incredibly thin. He's incredibly active, and he can use whatever blaster he dang well pleases because blasters don't really have a STR requirement, especially when the cap is 130. So he jumps everything into dex or agility and intelligence and just absolutely storms through everything. If there's a mod that turns Nerf Elite Crossbow into an axe, would it be a good idea? There is. You can make something that does that. You can make a flywheel crossbow. I think that when the lower the HPT, the lower the FPS cap, the less exciting the game's going to be. But then there's other things that have problems with that. For example, if you have a high FPS cap of like 300, well, there's not a whole lot. Like, at that point, flywheelers are essentially pointless. It's not that you can't use them, it's just that they're eventually just pointless. You also have, like, at that point, you shouldn't have to worry about any kind of, unless they really just run up on you, which is something Out of Darts is really good at doing, I might add. Basically, proton packs aren't a problem, because you outrange them several times over. You basically just run into the point where everybody's using a single shot, you know, pistol Springer, or they have a pump action that hits that hard, which, you know, there's more of the options coming out recently than there was, you know, the last 2 years. Or you have people using pneumatic blasters. That's one of the other things, like pneumatic blasters have kind of fallen out of favor because most wars, like, what's the point of, you know, pumping a blaster 18 times in order to shoot a dart once when you could do that with basically any pump action Springer now? And this makes games a lot more difficult to, like, manage, but I'm always in favor of, like, the way the blaster primes is what FPS cap it should be using at. I'm gonna wait for the bot to catch up. You're not wrong, Zach. That is something that's more important at longer range, but it's also not like a requirement. But you are right.
Imagine if at least some zombies were armed with super soakers at End War 19. That might have been a little relieving for a bit.
You're not wrong, and I have tested, not with a lipo, but you can literally take a strife and, like, throw it underwater and it basically still works. It won't shoot darts very well, especially when the flywheels are wet, but it's not like it stops the blaster. With a lipo, that's probably not advised because all you have to do is short out the lipo, which is what would happen if you were to dunk it underwater, at least any kind of standard typical water. And you would get a, that kind of effect going. Basically, you'd short it out. Not all water has particulates in it that would short, but that is something. That being said, the problem with using super suckers in a thing like that, even though it would be hot out, the problem stems that people don't generally like to be wet. It's not usually a thing, like when you're running around, it's not normally a thing that you consent to. So, at the end of the day, so that's what people use for HVZ. I've never been to an event. I wonder what gear HVZ nerfers use. Usually they have a mag or some kind of like system for carrying mags, and they have a pump action blaster or they have a proton pack. They have something that just has a ton of ammo and a pretty good fire rate. That's generally how HVZ is done. Does anyone know where End War is in 2022? I have no idea. What's a good 3D printed blaster under $50? There's not a whole lot, Aiden, because 3D printed stuff generally takes a long time to make and build. If you want my honest suggestion, look at the Out of Darts Proud Papa series. Or, yeah, I guess it's... Are they all called Proud Papa? Little Cousin? Whatever you want to call them. Basically, those jolts that have interchangeable barrels. I think those are pretty fairly priced. They are expensive, but you got to remember, like, 3D printing is not magic. It takes time. It takes effort. It's not free. It's a heck of a lot cheaper if you have a printer yourself, but in these scenarios, yeah. In my opinion, dump pouches, tack vests. Dump pouches are okay. I personally don't like dump pouches because, like, you're still kind of, like, fighting to get a mag, and if you're dumping your mags, like, it can be kind of a nuisance. But you can definitely carry more. The problem is, like, if you ever go horizontal, you're probably going to lose all your darts, all your mags, everything, and it sucks. Don't usually have that problem with you having, like, a tack vest. I 3D printed my Griffin for around $50, excluding the lipo. Yes, if you have a 3D printer, if you bite the bullet and pay $200, $300 for a printer, it's much cheaper. Sorry, gotta type something up. Sorry. Don't like doing that during a stream, but it was important, so I had to respond to it. What's a good budget blaster? That'd be the Adventure Force Villainator. That's pretty much the best blaster you can get for 20 bucks, in my opinion. It's super smooth slam fire. It's got decent range, high capacity. If you had multiple of them, you could reload it pretty effortlessly. Great little blaster. Doesn't have much mod potential, but doesn't really need it. Just got my skewer from Silver Fox Industries, my next game tomorrow. I'm so stoked. Hopefully you have fun. I love my skewer. I got a 3D printer about 3 years ago and didn't use it much till now. Yeah, I honestly, without doing 3D printing or like drone flying or something, I don't know what I'd use a 3D printer for. I have to disagree with you there. A bucket full of rival rounds is the best. You can't miss. You're not wrong, we're hearing. Another week of work at the hospital done. Now time to slam fire my Conquest Pro and enjoy the stream. I do like that Conquest Pro, man. Oh my god. I got that. I have the video shot. I'll have it up next week. I'm basically going to try to do a video every day next week. I have a lot of stuff shot for that. Doing the Conquest Pro with the JRC Designs pump grip and stuff. It's so good. I have the Ranger setup from the Spitfire products, the Ranger kit for the Saturn. That's going to be really awesome when lever action is out. Are you going to skin your skewer with a prune boat? No, I'm not. I just, because I don't like printing stuff out when I have a 3D printed blaster, because like my printing will always be different than whoever printed it the first time, different filaments and so forth, and just different printer setups. So I typically don't like mix and match. Maybe I'll make another skewer in the future, but no, I'm fine. Phantom Nerf, I've never got my hand on the Indra, so I actually don't know anything about it. Yeah, this... Now that I think about it, there hasn't really been a whole lot of, like... Busby brought out a couple of things. There's a Busby blaster that I saw that Buff Daddy got his hands on that I'm pretty interested in. But who knows if when I'll get my hands on one. Busby's weird, man. Like, so when they were talking about sending me stuff, they were only sending it like Adventure Force stuff. Frickin' Busby. Oh man, so they sent me a package. I think I told you guys that they planned on sending me a package. They had talked about it, and I just sent them an email back before I gave them my address, like, hey, what are your expectations here? Are you expecting me to do a video or not on it? And I don't know what the answer to that question was, because they never responded. They literally just sent out a package. They sent it to my old P.O. box. You'd have to go to one of my old videos and click on the description to find that P.O. box link, because all of the recent videos, and of course the About section on the channel, all have the new address. I had to pay $21 to forward that from my old P.O. box to my current location. Inside of it was not $20 worth of stuff at all. Inside of it was a new chain for the Tetra shot, and the Thunder shot that had at least a working catch. I don't know if the performance is better. I would assume it is, but that's all that was in there. So it was like $12, $13 worth of materials, and I paid $21 out of my pocket for it, which was not fun. It's not like I'm sitting here like, oh my god, thank you, Busby. It's like, can you guys do anything right? Not happy at all. Maybe I'm considering it, doing a round 2 video, but it's like, how many people are actually going to watch that? You know? I'm so upset. Like, I'm already like, I don't care. I hate it, because it's like, I already had to pay money and didn't even get my money's worth. It's got a revised CAC mechanism on the Thunder shot. Yeah, it's just the new Thunder shot, the one that was supposed to be put out, but they accidentally put out 2 variants, I guess. Would you do the Tetra shot shotgun mod? I'm still thinking about doing that. Basically going to do it with a pump. I'm not totally sure how I'm going to do it, but yeah, I kind of want to do it pneumatically, because that's the only way you're going to get the power to shoot 4 darts like that. I'm going to take off this hoodie. It's actually kind of warm in here right now. 1 second. It's funny because it's like, after it stopped raining, it got brighter outside. It's still overcast, but it got brighter. This hoodie is like slightly too small for the fat kid. Favorite Strife flywheel setup? I mean, it's been so long since I've modded a Strife, but I'd go with like Krakens or Fang revamps, 41.5 millimeter cage gap with a Inferno wheels, probably. What do you think about the lever action takedown kit? I don't have my hands on one, but I have played with a lever action takedown, and it was awesome. Oh my god, it was awesome. Am I posting today? This is my post for the day. It doesn't actually go live to the channel beyond this, because nobody watches, like, well, I say nobody, like less than 1% watch a totally unedited stream, but... what filament would you recommend for an Ender 3 V2? I don't know. Whatever has good reviews on Amazon, to be perfectly honest. I don't really pay attention. I've been buying something that starts with an E. It's actually been a while since I've bought filament. It's kind of weird. How do I know the answer is to do this. I just don't like doing this, because I'm going to hit this mic. It's like I can't get the camera to focus on me. Would you ever consider hiring someone to make edits to your streams to post? We did that. So Coney was doing that, The problem I had is that the one that I posted, which I thought was a really good video and a really good edit, did horribly. Like, I'm not sure why. I thought the video was great. I thought it was fantastic. But I lost like 30-something subscribers when I posted that. None of the comments were necessarily that bad. And maybe that has something to do with the fact that like the stream quality is pretty low. I mean, he's basically re-editing something that was already uploaded to YouTube. Not the greatest way to go about it. I want my hands on a lever action takedown. I mean, it's pretty rad, Perry. It's serious. I want the Saturn. That's what I'm kind of on. Still waiting on those game fade blasters, specifically the Lawless revolver. Yeah, that's going to be fun. I really wonder how good those are going to be. Because those, the jury or whatever. Oh, you're not talking about the wreck stuff. You're talking about the whatever they had coming out for. Whatever did happen to those? You got a point. We saw the jury, but the actual, I think they were leaks from Game Face that were actually original designs. Now that you mention it, yeah, I don't remember what happened to, and we saw the one picture and that was it. Does the NERF community have the same problems with cheating like the Airsoft community does? Of course, but that's just, unless you're playing like an actual game with refs, it's going to happen. It's a little bit more difficult. It's both a little bit more difficult and a little bit easier in NERF. The problem with Airsoft is that you have just the small little BBs, and they come in all sorts of colors and shapes and sizes. Or weights. So you can technically feel them, but it's easier to act like you didn't get hit by one. However, in NERF, it's easier to not feel the hit, especially if it hits like a mag or something like that. But since like the smallest you got is basically like a short dart, it's very easy to see that bounce off someone. But I've seen even like the best and most honest of players not realize they got hit. And it's a thing that happens with NERF. They'll hit a mag or something like that in your pockets or in your vest, or you just might not feel it. I haven't seen anything about Game Face since their CETA clone, and I still have a Game Face I've never even opened. Hey, John. Nice to see you. Thanks for coming out. Are you been able to get a consistent performance out of a Lynx at 300 FPS? I don't know what you're looking for in consistent. I mean, I've consistently got over 290 to 310 FPS with it. That's with fresh darts and a pretty tight barrel. Paintball's the easiest to know if someone gets hit. This is true. Paintball has the most expensive consumables, I would say. And also, people still wipe in paintball all the damn time. And in my opinion, paintball is like the most boring. I really don't like paintball. I didn't really like it much as a kid because there wasn't like a huge variety in how, like, in the markers that people were using, they were basically all they felt the same. That's basically because like you have paintballs, so there's only so much you can do with a .68 caliber paintball. Airsoft, you'll feel it, especially with 42s. The greatest thing to see is cheaters just smash their face into a tree because suddenly tree. Oh. I still need to figure out what happened to my Airsoft BBs because I have a video I want to do, but I don't know what happened to my... There's like a $25 container of like .36 or 38 gram BBs. They feel like ball bearings. They're crazy. But I don't know what happened to them right now. I'd kill for a WALCOMS7 original blaster. You mean like something I've built? Because I have stuff for sale if you have the coin. I think the Thundershot is worse than the Warden because if it was lucky to get the Warden still worked and Warden claims his range 90 feet and he goes 60. As from what I know, I didn't want to open it. I kind of wanted to do the video with Lucha, but the Thundershot, if it does hit like the whatever Mongoose Jakes was getting in his video, which I didn't really. I think I heard the second hand from somebody else. It was hitting like 80s. I mean, I could see a $10 80 FPS. 8-shot is an 8-shot blaster that you can technically one-hand if you really wanted to try. I could see that being at least purchasable. It wouldn't be a recommendation from me, but I could see that being purchasable. It would be hard for me to say, no, don't buy this. The current one that we have gotten our hands on that not only doesn't perform well at all, but you can't grip it, it's ugly as sin, and then on top of every other problem it has, it breaks really easily. You can't even recommend that for $10. Like, I know it's $10. That's practically nothing. For some reason, $10 is absolutely nothing, but $20 is serious consideration. It's difficult to say that it would ever be worth that $10 price for one of the ones that would break. If you want to buy one, have fun, and see how fast you can break it, sure. Maybe you want to do some kind of cosmetic mod, sure. But it's so hard for me to ever recommend that to anybody. The problem is, I'm sure loads of people bought them and broke them and complained to Walmart. I don't think that our videos really had much of an effect. I think what happened is people bought them, broke them, and Walmart was getting tired of it. And I'm sure that Busby's worried about losing their spot in Adventure Force. I'm sure that's something they're terrified of. It's weird because Busby's releases this year that I've seen have all been kind of middle of the road in terms of pricing and what they're trying to accomplish. The issue I have is that, like, none of the blasters have been good. Like, really, like, the Tetra Shot, even if it worked flawlessly, is still a blaster that, like, I guess you could buy it if you're a kid, you might have fun with it, but it's not something I'd ever recommend to most people because the Villainator is a thing. I'd argue a kid would have just as much fun with a Villainator. It costs $5 less. It comes with 40 darts, but they're good instead of 90 or 98 darts that suck. You know what I mean? Like, there's really no point to them. And then the trigger fire is like, yeah, that's kind of cool, but it's not like, unlike the nail biter, it's so hard to one hand. It's super front heavy. It's really bad front heavy. And since you pretty much have to two-hand it anyway, you basically have a mediocre pump action blaster because it's never going to hit the ranges that you would expect. That's why it's like, what's the point? Why would I buy the trigger fire for 25 or 20 bucks when I could just buy a Villainator that is, I'm still going to be holding it with two hands, has a really light prime, can slam fire and do all these things. Like, there's no point. Yeah, again, everybody can make, oh, well, I like it, Walcom, it's fun. That's completely subjective. And anybody who says that would also be aware of the fact that it has these glaring flaws. If you can look past those flaws because you like a specific thing about it, that's fine. But that doesn't mean you need to like, oh, well, you're wrong because I like it. That's not how the world works. There are times I have done that, I'm sure. The biggest time I could talk about that was with the Diatron or whatever you want to call it, the thing that started this channel. I was so sick of Bobo, Drac, Coop. Everybody I saw talk about the Diatron said it sucked. Worthless, absolute garbage. When I found it to be a one-handed shotgun blaster that had pretty good range and pretty good spread, I had used it a ton of times at Dart Wars and had gotten more tags with it than I could imagine. Like, it was lethal. Downright lethal. Again, that's my war, but it's like, even then, it's like, what, going back to the Diatron, like, if you were right-handed and you wanted to spend a little bit of time removing a couple of locks, the Diatron was freaking rad. Like, it had a use. There was really nothing else. The hammer shot, even, if you wanted to consider the hammer shot to be in that same thing, this was more of a pocket shotgun than the hammer shot ever was. But, neither here nor there, there's going to be people that like what they like. It's just the difference of being able to realize that you like something because you like it, or you like something because it's good. And that's something that this community has like a pretty big problem with. And I say this as somebody who, like, still to this day is like, Boomco was better than NERF for years. Boomco was better than NERF. Does Boomco have problems? Yes, but those problems didn't matter. Because, like, the M6 pistol or the far shot derivatives, whatever you want to call them, the Mad Slammer blaster, oh my god, the brake flip. Like, those were blasters that were just insane. 40 darts, 130 FPS for Boomco, which is stupidly long distance. Like, it was so good. They were just amazing blasters. But the writing was on the wall. We were modifying every single Boomco blaster pretty much the same. And the time we finally got two flywheel blasters from Boomco, they were dead pretty much the next year. They were done. Basically, they reshelled a bunch of designs for the Halo stuff and then faded off into obscurity. From what I know what happened, I believe a lot of their designers were actually poached by Hasbro. Those were things like I could still say, like, would I use a Boomco blaster today? I could. Theoretically, I could. But the problem is now we have short darts on shelves. Short darts weren't on shelves when I was using Boomco. Now that short darts are on shelves, it's harder to do. Are there still Boomco blasters that I think are absolutely freaking banging? Yes. Holy crap, the Burst Wave is still one of the most effective, most lethal shotguns in the hobby. It's pneumatic, but since it's firing 4 darts at a comfortable spread, insane distances, not like, oh, it's going to put a hole through a wall or anything like that. No, it's just that Boomco love where those darts just go sailing. You can't get the same effect out of foam darts. Like, yeah, Domoshevsky's Rail Cleaner is next up on, like, being the most lethal shotgun in the hobby that's still, accessible, but Domoshevsky's stuff is hard to get a hold of, and it's huge, and it's 3D printed. I would be very scared running the Rail Cleaner in a war because it's so big, and if I, do anything wrong with it, it's going to snap in half. There's also the foam paintballs shooting out of the Firefly shotgun. Holy crap, that is absolutely freaking fantastic. Problem. Those foam paintballs are now $68 for 500 on Vulcan's website. And I don't have that kind of chicken feed. That is a lot of money for an ammo that is very easily lost. And it sucks. I was hoping like we'd get more of them. Like, holy, if there's a company out there that could produce those cheaply, you could put them up and they'd sell a crap ton of them. If they want to make blasters specifically for them, they could get away with that. My God. That would be awesome. But that's where we're at right now. It's, the things change. And obviously, like, things I liked 5 years ago, even 3 years ago, even 2 years, even last year, it's gonna change. Tastes are always changing. People are always evolving. There are blasters that I absolutely were super excited for that I probably haven't touched since I did the review. Shellfire, or Shell Strike, whatever you want to call it. Odd. I tried everything to make that blaster good. You really can't make it good. And it sucks because it's like, I'd still love a blaster like the Shell Strike or whatever that used a better shell that still shot multiple projectiles. That was good. A lot of people are like, well, why don't you cut down darts like to just the dart heads and shoot them? That's another ammo type that I wouldn't use with anything else. That would just be like, that's like basically firing trash. It's not great. But I asked this last game one too, but what do you think of possible to mod a Tetra Shot to be a chain-fed shotgun? I think you could do it with pneumatics. I think you could, oh my God, HPA? Like, for real? Like, I'm almost tempted to do that. I have a Specs VZ tank. The problem with, like, doing an HPA mod is that, like, buying the fittings is so expensive. It's like literally like $80 to $100 and just like 3 or 4 brass fittings, and then the tubes to go between them to hold air. And then, you have to have a paintball tank and stuff like that, and you're dealing with consumable properties. But my God, of all of the like HPA mods, right? Like, this is one that I think should happen. That's why I was kind of like, I want to get enough chains. I really want to get enough chains to make that like a reality, because if I was me, what I would do is I would make some kind of emplacement where it's like the chain fed thing. Like, I don't know if you could make it still like pump action while being on emplacement, but I'd love to have it like where you could have like everything in one place and you don't need to carry it around, or you can carry it around and set up in places and just basically turn it into an automatic shotgun kind of thing. But you'd have to be able to pump it. So if I were to do that, it would have to be like, how are you going to reach around the chain area and stuff to pump it? I don't know. Especially once I want to have like high capacity chain fed. You just, basically make it so every single time you pump it, it cycles the chain, and every single time you pull the trigger, it's using stored energy to fire those darts far. Have a good night, Osmocar. Opinions on the double barrel Caliburn? I'd love to get my hands on one of those. I wanted to print one at one point, but it's just so much printing, I never actually did it. The other way of doing a pneumatic one would be using like an XBZ tank or something. And the only way I can think of doing that is I'm pretty sure if you were to do that, most of the pump stroke, I haven't confirmed this, I might be completely wrong, but most of the pump stroke does not interact with the actual mechanism that rotates the chain. It's at the end of the pump that it interacts with the end of the chain. So if you were to have it to where you could pump it, and then if you pumped it all the way back, rotated the chain, therefore you could have as long as you didn't pump it all the way back every single time and you were ginger about it, you could have a blaster where you could pump it up, fire it, then pump it all the way back on that fire and have it rotate to the next chain, and you could use like an XBZ. Pump it up 20, 30 times, whatever it takes. I think shotguns are one of those things where it's like, they might not be the most effective. Anything past like 3 darts I feel is kind of wasteful, but they could definitely be useful. I think shotguns they definitely have a purpose, but they're less desirable than a lot of other things that you can use. Who would you recommend on YouTube to learn better soldering techniques? I'm sure there's a good video out there. Drifter, I don't have one off the top of my head, but I'm sure there's a perfect video out there. If not, I'll make it. And I'm not really that good at soldering, but there's very basic things in soldering that makes it, like, I barely even use helping hands most of the time, which is not good, but I can get away without using helping hands. Just tin your wires. Like, that's the most important. Tin your wires, tin your solder connection point, touch wire to thing, solder it. Best use for a shotgun is shock and awe. The terror in people's faces when they see the cloud of darts priceless. You're not wrong. You'd be surprised, like in HVZ, just having a blaster that sounds mean like a flywheeler is super effective. Most people don't want to take that, especially close range. Now that we've got the Proud Pop and the like, would it be worth making Absolver mods for the Shell Strike shells? I don't know. Maybe. If you want to learn good soldering techniques, I'd go watch a console modding channel. You're not wrong. What is the channel I was watching recently? I sent it to Lucha, and I learned a lot, like watching them solder and stuff like that. There's definitely some truth to that statement. It was like Macho or Nacho something. I'm pretty sure I subscribed to them. Let's see. Yeah, I might not have subscribed to them. I might have to look back. Especially since I sent it to Lucha and stuff. They made the Thick Boy, which was like a modified SP with a bunch of extra stuff added to it. But watching them solder, I was like, oh, okay, I learned some stuff. And they had like all the tools they used in the description. So I was like, oh, that's stuff I could use to solder small points on electronics. Louis Rossman, yeah, that's the guy who like takes apart like Apple stuff, and that's usually what I know him from. Like takes apart like, you know, expensive computers and iPhones and stuff like that. I've used a hot air soldering thing before. Not bad. It's Macho Nacho Productions. Macho Nacho Productions. They were only like 30,000, 40,000 subs when I found them. It was in my face, like my home screen on YouTube, which I never go to. I did in this specific instance. Yeah, my home screen's nothing that I'm not subscribed to right now. Crackheads on 3S sound incredibly intimidating. That they do, that, Nick. Is my printer even running still? It might actually finally be done. I think it's actually finished with that print. I'm gonna go see really quick if I can't grab that. 1 second. Oh, you. Oh, what happened? Oh, that's so frustrating. Okay, well, something did go. Sorry. This was the part, this is like super weighty, so I did, I think, 100% infill on this, on everything. Super nice. Like, oh, that's so solid, it feels great. This was the part that broke, so I wanted it to be as strong as possible, and I've never printed in PETG before, believe it or not. This is the part that connects to the rails on the Cheetah, and besides it being stringy, again, probably too hot, not enough cooling, whatever it may be, retraction settings, I don't know. It just comes right off. It's not even an issue, in my opinion. That also really nice. We got the barrel cap thing. That turned out pretty good. And then we got the part that actually matters. Not that it really takes all that much, like, stuff, but I did have some failure. You can kind of... I guess I'll turn off spot focus so I can zoom that in. Right at the very end, of course, I got some layers in there that looks like there was a partial jam. So if I go, yeah, breaks right off. Which sucks, because again, this is like 100% infill. Yeah, just that one spot. But it was for several lanes. There, quite a few lanes there. There's definitely an issue. This is, yeah, this spot right here is not, that's just where it's thin, but you can see a couple of layers there at the very end got messed up. But other than that, it's like, oh, I want to try to break this now. Okay, it is breakable. Funny enough, that, yeah, that broke pretty much where you would expect it to. Super. God, 100% infill stuff feels so good. Can I muscle? No, I can't break that. So, at least these two parts are good. And I can print out another one of those. But, yeah, the stringing and everything just comes right off. It's not even an issue. That's beautiful. Like, if I could actually show you, there's a little bit of a goat hoof going on. But look at how good that is. So, the CR10 Smart can print. It just took him 4 months to get the firmware up to the point where it can actually do what it's supposed to do. That is pretty rad. I'm quite pleased with that. That's... I guess there's actually... Yeah, at the very end there might have been too much of a gap. It's a little messed up. Where you can see where I pulled off the support. which is still on the bed, which, by the way, it popped right off the bed without even trying. I'm still pretty happy with that. Okay, well, I'm just going to reprint the parts that obviously didn't go well. The one part, which is the biggest one, and see if it just, I wonder if it was just an issue at that layer height. I'm not sure. That sucks that it had issues right there. Oh, you're doing PETG now. Might finally be the time to get back into flywheels and pay you to print me some stuff. I do have the ability to print PETG, apparently. This was not a specific PETG profile. I literally just went to print a thing that I normally print in PLA and just upped the temperature. That's it. So, super happy with how that turned out. Yep, a clog. Yeah, I kind of figured. It's okay. I already can tell this one's different than the one I just had, right? This is a different design than I had before, I'm pretty sure. I don't know where my cheetah is at the moment. It's probably at the shooting table. But this is the part that broke on me. And that ain't breaking. Oh, God, that's never breaking. That's great. I'm pretty stoked. And I only had this, like, one roll of, like, clear PETG. But, like, even that piece is so good. There's just some stringing, which could be too hot, not good enough cooling, not good enough for traction settings. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the one I had just went, like, basically down and flat. I think this triangle bit right here is new. What kind of laptop would be decent for 3D printing designing? Pretty much any laptop made within the 5 years. I mean, I don't design stuff, but designing doesn't take that much effort, I don't think. So you plan to paint 3D printed stuff or something like Hydro Dip? My end game is to hopefully get a paint booth and get a Hydro Dip tank inside ready to go. A actual Hydro Dip tank, not like a commercial one. Basically, you buy a parts washing bin, like it's a freestanding bin with a pump and everything in it from Harbor Freight. It's about 120 to 150 bucks. And you fill that full of water, you remove the trays inside of it, and you fill it full of water. And that way you can just dip stuff and then also rinse your parts off in the same tank. And then you just put like a pond warmer or basically like a sous vide inside that hydro dipping. And you got a 98 degree, what you need for, Fahrenheit for hydro dipping, because it has to be warm water, and it's all in one area. Don't need to go outside, don't need to do anything. It's a pretty big bin. I could dip anything that's essentially not basically anything. I think I could even probably print or dip a Centurion if it was actually in two pieces like it's supposed to. And then also have the paint booth and do all that. So it's basically like I can paint, dip, and do whatever I want. And basically, like, so if I have 13 or 15 Rapid Strikes, or if I find a Rapid Strike at Goodwill, I grab the Rapid Strike, I paint it, I dip it, it's just whatever I feel like doing that day, make some kind of custom. Maybe I'll go crazy, maybe I'll do something super custom to it, but I basically just want to turn that into money. Because there's a huge, people can't get, like, super high quality dipped printed stuff. I almost want to do just shells. I honestly don't even want to do, but I know there are people out there that are like, they don't have modding skills and they want like whatever specific Rapid Strike. So I basically am just going to buy film or paper film that I like and just dip it and paint it and wire it up with some different, like basically HV spec blaster and make sure it's all clear coated. I have a spray gun. That's the other thing I want to have with the spray booth. I don't want to use just the airbrush. I want to have an actual spray gun that I can mix paint in for wide coverage areas so that I can use 2K clear coat and sell modified so I can get rid of like most of the duplicates that I have. Because like I don't need to have 30 strives. I don't need to have 15 Rapid Strikes. If I find a Rapid Strike at a Goodwill, I basically pass it up because I know I'm not going to need it. But I'd rather turn that $15 or whatever into, however much I can turn a printed dipped blaster into. I've seen, blasters that are far less, like basically just barely dipped, barely painted, sell for like $300. And I could do that in a day. So if I could turn out something better in a day or two, like, 16, 20 hours and make hundreds of dollars of profit off of it, I'd rather do that. And that's kind of my plan going forward. That's what I want to do. But I have to get to that point. Can you have your window open during a 3D print? You technically can, Ty, but what winds up happening is that any drafts can cause the filament to, it can affect your cooling. It can cause a lot of issues. You can't print. That's one of the issues I had. I couldn't 3D print in the garage during winter because it was too cold. Prints wouldn't stick to the bed. Even when the bed was heated, even when the printer was cranked up, it wouldn't matter. Stuff wouldn't stick, stuff wouldn't work. Something that's wisping in my face. What 3D printed blaster would you most recommend? A Lynx. So, that's cool. I'm glad I can finally print with this frickin' printer. That's been a headache for months. Oh my god, it's been so bad. I printed out most of my, what do you call that thing? Radio Silence's Cage Fighter. I printed most of that out on the printer when it wasn't working right, but it was not fun to deal with. And obviously this is way better, so. Do you have a Sonic Orange Jolt? I do. Gecko or Fenris? I do have a Fenris video coming. I'm waiting to get another pistol to do a bulk review because it's hard to do an 8-minute long video on just the Fenris. But so far, the Fenris it's kind of in its own class because the Gecko is going to be more powerful. The Gecko is just going to be an overall probably, it's a two-handed blaster. So if you need something that you're holding your primary, you just need to draw and rattle off shots with, that's what the Fenris is for. If you need a blaster that you can comfortably have your blaster on a swing and switch to and still be super effective, that would be the Gecko. In HVZ, I would argue probably 2 Fenrises would be better than a Gecko. That remains to be seen, because in HVZ, dual wielding is actually effective. Oh, my phone is exploding. Sorry, important text message. Oh, do you know how valuable gear up deploys are? They made a gear up deploy? As far as I know, they didn't make a gear up deploy. Rifle or pistol, Jingze? That's that break action. God, I'd love to have one of each. I'm more partial to pistols, but the more I see that with something like that, if I could have a 200 FPS or 300 FPS break action, carbine kind of thing, I'd use it. I'd totally use it. By the way, your worker Swift post was super tight. Are you talking about the video, Eric? Hey, Walcom, what are your ideal qualities in the sidearm? Is one-handed operation important to you? So, if the blaster is specifically set up to be a sidearm, one-handed blasting is pretty much important. Not everybody carries a sidearm. You don't obviously always need to have a sidearm. You can also just have a blaster that's already primed like a Jolt and use that as a sidearm. However, I usually run primary secondary. I have very rarely found myself in a position where I need to have a sidearm. I like to constantly switch blasters. If I'm going to turn a corner, I don't want to peek a corner with a Caliburn. That's just asking for trouble. There's a much more barrel I have to swing around. I have to reveal much more of my body to do that. I would rather use something like anything, like pistol-wise. I'm also somebody who would primary pistols. I like having less bulk and having way less in front of me. There's already a lot in front of me, which is one of the reasons why I don't like shouldering blasters. I got a pretty nice bosom on me, and it's kind of not comfortable. So I'd rather be able to just, like, kind of freestyle it. Which is why I like the freaking, what do you call it? The skewer so much. Thick Pistol Squad. Yep. Man, Lucha, like, next time we go to an event, if you don't already have something going on, we need to make, like, custom jerseys and just be, like, make it something like Thick Guys and Moon Pies or something like that would be our team name. And we just get, like, pistols and as much stuff as we can carry that's not pistol and just wreck. If you're serious, Lucha, I will get on that. I will make us a design and get jerseys made for whatever our next event is. We'll make an exclusive club. When are you going to make a Woozy video? I have a Woozy that has gotten back to me from Frontline Foam. So this is really interesting. If you remember during my stream, I thought I broke it. I slapped a higher discharge battery in it and used it, and it was fine. It's actually great. And then I go to shoot the video, and what wound up happening was one of the flywheels came disconnected, like the motor, the soldering. It broke. It came undone. Wasn't a very good soldering job. I tried to fix the soldering to get the video back up and running, and I nestled the board, which is like right here on the blaster. There's obviously a pusher motor back here, and I put the board against it, and I think I shorted out the board on the pusher, which sucked. So I sent it back to them. I got it back. I have not tested it. I tested it when I got it, and the problem I was having was that single shot would be anywhere from 1 to 3 darts. Burst fire was anywhere from like 2 to 5. Or sometimes it would just empty I'd pull the trigger once and it would empty the entire mag. And then just keep firing. There's obviously something wrong with it, so I held off on doing the Woozy video once again. If I had one of these that worked, like, flawlessly, I would have done the video a long time ago. But this blaster specifically has never been flawless. There's always been some kind of an issue with it. And I don't know why that is. I know that Colin Wood did some tweaking, and I know I'm pushing this thing pretty much to its max. There is the 3,000 RPM motor that you had inside of the, what do you call that thing? The Lepus? The 3,000 RPM motor that's in the Lepus is in here. That makes the burst fire basically like a single shot, and it's awesome. But, yeah, been running into issues. I guess Frontline still wants me to do the video. They were talking about doing another one, or sending me another one. I don't know. I'm going to be, if I do a video for Frontline, and it's basically, no matter what I can do, it's going to be an advertisement from them, and I don't want to get into that kind of, like, where you stand with Frontline if you think it's an issue or whatever. Fact of the matter is, do you want a Woozy? Well, Colin Wood works with them. They're completely licensed. They pay Colin. I know this all for a fact. And if the product works, then that's your way to get a Woozy. That's where I stand. I'm not going to talk about whether you like them, whether you hate them. I'm not going to get into that. But I can tell you brass tacks wise, that's what's going on. And honestly, not a whole lot of people are going to be insane enough to work and sell on Woozies because they have a lot, especially the Select Fire is probably like a lot. It's like a couple dozen solder points. It's like 5 micro switches. It's a lot of work. Would it be worth the beat? It's $300 built with Select Fire or no? Jonathan, possibly. But you're going to be waiting like 9 weeks. McDoyle!
Just helping keep your head above water. Semicolon closing parenthesis.
You have no idea how much that means to me, man. You have helped so much. It's no secret that things have been difficult, and you have helped immensely. I cannot thank you enough, and I don't know what to say. Thank you. Oh, it's definitely delicious. I will save some for you if you can't find any. I'm sure this stuff will keep for a couple of months. It's good. Do you like light beer? Do you like apples? So, if I had to explain this, it's basically like apple juice without the sweetness, with the apple flavor, and it's super light. It doesn't leave that sugary taste that like ciders leave. if you don't like beer, you're gonna hate it. Thank you. You like that bush apple? I wasn't a fan, but my dad and brother absolutely loved it. Yeah, Lizard King, I like apples. See, I like cider, but I also try to avoid that, like, that much sugar as much as possible. I'm not there, but I'll shoot myself with a blaster. Lucha, you beautiful human being. You should be here. Apple soda that hits the same profile as one on my face. Yeah, what is that? I always forget the name of it. It's that, it starts with an M, I believe. It's, I believe a Mexican soda. That's apple. Like, God, I love apple soda, but at the same time, like, I've never seen a diet apple soda. You know what I mean? Why is there no, like, apple... Holy crap, why is there no, like, apple Coke or apple Pepsi? I think Ricky got it. Manzanita Soul. Our Taco Bell, back in Chehalis, used to have one on tap. Stroll from Frosty Child, grapefruit. It's a Hefeweizen. Ooh, you like the weedy ones, huh? I'll pour one out for the boys, too. 250 FPS caliber. God damn, you guys are awesome. Thank you, McDoyle. Holy crap, thank you.
Guess who's getting a paint booth?
Well, we're ahead of schedule. I will... Yeah, we're building a paint booth. So, we can talk about the paint booth. It's gonna go... You see... You see where the... Get out! Stop focusing on the... You know what? I'm gonna do this the hard way. You see where that big black overhanging kind of thing is that almost looks like it'd be a paint booth? It's not a paint booth. That's a light box. I'm basically gonna put the paint booth there. And you see where the printers are? That's basically where the dipping tank's gonna be. And then that entire wall that you see back there with all the boxes, all those boxes are gonna go yeeted over into that corner. And then I'm gonna put a workbench over there. So, oh no, I'm unscrewing this thing now. Uh-oh. Don't fall off. I need you, baby. You're my meal ticket to the top. Okay, I think we're good. Well, everything we're good. So, that's what's going to happen with that. My plan for a paint... I gotta turn off the autofocus. My plan for the paint booth is to basically get LED lights, and I'm going to build out of... I don't know what material, but some kind of... not cardboard, but something kind of similar to it. Booth with 2 ventilation ducts, and they're going to go out that window. And then I'm going to get a spray gun set up with a compressor to go with that. So I do have an airbrush. What I want is a compressor with a spray gun, because like I can put a little bit of paint in a spray gun and spray paint a strife really easily, really quickly. Airbrushing a strife would take quite some time. So NSA Key, thank you so freaking much. McDoyle, thank you. I don't know exactly when this will be built, but this is something that I can now start purchasing parts for and get that up and running, just like with the whole area going on over there with the Dark Catch. POV, you're a new light bulb Walcom is trying to install. Was it that bad? I'm sorry. Homely.
Get a taco on the trip to get the paint booth.
Dude, I will totally take you up on that taco, Homely. God, tacos sound amazing right now, don't they? I forget what we're supposed to be having for dinner tonight. And Ty with the $1.
I helped LMAOOOOOO.
Thank you, Ty. Harbor Freight spray guns are excellent for that price. Yeah, exactly. So you're talking about maybe like $150 to $170 for a decent compressor and a spray gun. Should be pretty easy, I think. And then we got to have a fan, exhaust fan. We got to have a filter. We got to have hosing. We got to build the actual booth. It's not that complicated. It's something that I've looked at doing previously. We just need to build it on a pretty big scale. So we need to have double exhaust and all that kind of stuff going on, because we'll be doing it inside. But hopefully that gets to a point, if I can seal it up good enough against that window, I could be spray painting in here in winter. That's the goal. And hopefully we just get to a point where it's like, this space will be like, hey, Dr. Flux, he wants to paint something, and it's kind of hard to paint stuff in winter, and he doesn't want to paint stuff in his house. You can come here. Luchathor, Zach, Brett, all these people, they have this huge studio where my point is to make it like not only my studio where I can get stuff done, but like I'm gonna have I hope to build, once we have more money flowing, a second computer. The second computer, when I'm like streaming, will be the streaming rig, but outside of that, it's another editing rig. I can literally have the same license that I use to edit my videos currently on a second computer. I can have another editor. I can hire an editor locally full time. I can have Lucha come over and film stuff on the set studio and then edit it. There's so many ways I want to go about this. My plans for this studio just require a lot of money. And who knew that would be the obstacle? Eventually, what I plan on doing, my biggest one thing that we wanted to do, like we were talking about this from the very beginning, we want to build basically a 2v2 gunfighter range from like Modern Warfare, you know, the 2v2 gunfight mode. We want to build like a pretty decent little arena, not meant to have like a lot of people in it, but just quick firing with some good obstacles, good flanking routes and stuff like that. We want to build that, but have it set up to where we can live stream from it. Wireless live streaming cameras are in fact a thing. Problem, it's like $1,000 for 3 good ones. Wagon Waifu with a $5 super chat. Thoughts on the Phone Knight XC? Seriously cross-shopping that against the Gecko since I already have standard Talon mags in my for my Nexus Pro. That is something to consider. If you do not
Thoughts on the Phone Knight XE? Seriously cross-shopping that against the Gecko since I already have standard Talon mags for my Nexus Pro.
So, I do not have a Phone Knight XE. I am totally willing to review one, but I don't want to, like, print one out myself. It's kind of a pain in the... Well, maybe I do. I don't know. I need a hardware kit, regardless. From what I've seen, it looks fine. I'm not a fan of the muzzle being lower than the top of the blaster, because that makes it harder to aim. But it depends on your use case for the blaster. I like the Gecko a lot. But if you don't already have the magazines, or you don't want to spend $40, $50 on a couple of magazines to use almost specifically for your Gecko, that's a valid response. Same thing with a Scamp. And I believe the Zing 2.0 also uses standard mags, or is it still some kind of other not standard mag? If I hit on my lotto tickets, I'll become your not-so-silent sugar daddy. Hey, if you want this to become McDoyle's iceberg, we'll make it happen, man. I already have to basically... We're going to have a wall. We're going to come through. I'm going to basically build like a wall of... a plaque is my point. I want to get basically everybody who's supported me on a plaque. Like all current and past patrons and stuff like that. Speaking of patrons, that is something I want to talk about as we kind of wind things down. Hopefully this thing doesn't get disconnected. It might, who knows. It always disconnects at 2 hours and 4 minutes. It didn't last time. It hasn't yet, but let's see what happens. It's my internet router. The Netgear stuff doesn't work well. It has to, like, it gets cached or something like that and has to empty it. Why does it say Jaxmay? When did Jaxmay donated 14. Funny weed number 420. I completely missed that. I didn't see any notification for it. Thank you very much, Jaxmay. Holy crap. Oh, did I show you the thing? The new thing. You bought a couple of things off eBay for ridiculous prices? Like some small things. Did I show you the new small things? That's a conversation we need to have if I haven't. I've been writing down my ideas for revamping the Patreon. So the current issues with the Patreon is it hasn't been updated in forever. We need new goals. We need new everything. And I need to be able to put stuff out there that people would want to, help the channel. So what's going to happen is that I'm going to redo our $2 roll. This is what I have written down, so I'd love your feedback. Even if you're not a patron, or if you are a patron, I would love your feedback on this. Basically, the $2 tier would be put a beer in the fridge. And it says, this ensures that the Fuzzy Walrus Industries ice chest, it's back here, we can paint it up and everything like that, has a beer in it for whoever's thirsty. Right now, thing's loaded! It's got a lot of stuff in it. I try to keep it stocked up as much as possible. And then you also get access to any behind-the-scenes content. I plan on doing basically multiple times a week, if not daily, behind-the-scenes content. This is a slippery slope kind of problem, because I would rather it be like, hey, if this incites me to do more posting on like Instagram and stuff. I've been trying to do daily Instagram content right now. That's the kind of stuff that I would like to be doing. But if I have to post actual behind-the-scenes content frequently, this would give you access to that. Then there's the $5 tier, which is currently you get your name on a board or on the workbench. Obviously, I don't even have a workbench right now. The problem with the name on the workbench is it took me anywhere from 1 to 7 minutes to cut out and install a name on the workbench. And then, like, that doesn't seem like much. If you're giving me $5 a month, 1 to 7 minutes to build, that's no problem. But what a lot of times would happen is people would lose off the bench for a little bit. They'd come back. I had problems with people who would subscribe to the Patreon and never pay. They basically, so I had to make it so you had to charge up front for it, which I didn't like to do, but I had so many people get my name on the workbench, I'd like it in pink or whatever, and then never pay me a dime. So, changing that out, it's now, basically what would happen is, you're basically buying darts for the channel. Do you know how many packs of darts I go through on a regular basis? I am buying 2 to 4 packs of Adventure Force Pro darts, like, basically every couple of weeks. I will probably go through anywhere from 4 to 10 packs of darts a month, depending on if it's review season or not. When I try to do a blaster review, I try to have fresh darts for it. Recently, been less possible, but it gets expensive. So you would get access for $5, you get access to all the behind the scenes content. You get a special patron Fuzzler reward role in the Discord, which is already there, which will also give you access to the secret club. The secret club is our area in the Discord that's basically for me and other supporters of the channel. That's the channel in the Discord that I check the most often, multiple times a day. I'm not always going to say something unless I'm directly asked or if I have something to say, but I check it multiple times a day. So if you ever think like, oh, Walcom never interacts with the Discord, you're wrong. I'm just in that channel because if I post anything in my normal channels, it's quickly destroyed by people's. We'll get to that name crawl thing. So the $5 tier I'm a bit iffy on because I'm not entirely sure how to balance that out right now. But we're going to go to the $15 tier. And this might be an overloaded tier. Or maybe it's underwhelming. I don't know. I'd love, again, get your feedback. $15 is put some blasters in the studio. This tier directly helps offset the cost of buying all those blasters. It isn't cheap, but it's for the channel. I just bought a Zesty SMG. I bought the Focus... Okay. Okay, we should be good. I'll wait for people to say we're good, and then I'll continue. I'll go back to what I was talking about. Yeah. So, I don't know why it does that. It didn't do that last stream. Did it this stream. Always happens at 7:04 on the dot. Every time. Never fails. Actually, it's always 2 hours and 4 minutes. I usually start the stream like a minute or so ahead of time. That's why. I was talking about this, so I bought this Zesty SMG, it'll be here Wednesday, I'll do a video on that. I bought the Ultra Instinct, or the Ultra Focus. Ultra Instinct would be a great name for a blaster, holy crap. And all of these blasters from Hasbro that they have never sent me. The last blasters Hasbro sent me was, I believe, the freaking Hyper stuff. They make way more than just Hyper. I have Flux's Dragon Power stuff, which I'm going to do a video on that. I think that's going to be next Friday's video. I have a really funny skit I want to do for that. I've been thinking about how to do that for a while now. But all these blasters I've been buying, and when I don't have a lot of money, especially when I'm already putting money into the studio and stuff like that, that's been a problem. This, like, $15 every month, like, I could get, 10 people. That's most of the blasters I'd be buying for that month. So, you'd get everything we talked about. You'd get all the behind-the-scenes content. You'd get the Patron Fuzzle award roll. You'd also get the secret access to the secret club. And I would be doing every week, and these numbers, I would basically choose too early for the first 2 weeks and or probably alternate. I will be doing what's called office hours, where I will basically do a stream in the Fuzzy Walrus Industries Discord server that's only for me and patrons to participate in. I am torn if I want to make it public so people can view and listen, but the only people who would have direct access to speaking and so forth would be patrons that are from this tier. For a 2-hour block of time, we will sit there and do whatever. I'll just sit there on camera. Maybe I'll play a game, and you just want to talk. Maybe we'll play something together. You want to show me your builds you're working on. You want to get feedback. But instead of doing dedicated calls for every single $15 streamer, I'd rather just, oh, hey, here's the schedule for the office hours for this month. It'll be Monday if I were to do this, let's go to October. So Monday the 4th would be the first 2-hour block of time. I'll do it from noon to 2 my time Monday. Then the next week would be, it wouldn't even be Monday. Let's do Wednesday, the 13th. We'll do it from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. And then the following week, we'd go back down to, we'd go to Monday again, maybe, and do another 12 to 2. And then at the end of the week, we'll do maybe a Thursday or a Friday. We'll do a Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. And it's just a 2-hour block of time. Basically, it's a live stream where you can interact. You can talk to me. It'll be voice chat, video chat, whatever you want to do. It'll just be a party for whoever wants to be a part of it. That's in the patron status. That's way easier than trying to organize a 15 to 20 minute Discord call with everybody. And I think it'd be more fun. And I'm not a smart person at all. I'm not the only person who's going to have thoughts on what you're doing, your builds, whatever, or give you advice, whatever you want, life coaching, whatever you want. I'm the wrong person for all of that. But I can be there. If you just want somebody to talk to, and I'll be there. I'm obligated to be there for a couple of hours. That's the point of the office hour streams. So some people may like that. It's less personal, but also I don't think a whole lot of people are going to care. My thoughts of making it public that people could join and listen but not participate, the reason I was going to do that is because that gives you an elevation of power. Now you can talk and show stuff off and the other people just have to go, whoa, that's cool. Or they can try to chat, but I would just ignore the chat because it's not about that. They can watch, but they can't touch. But I also realize sometimes patrons don't want that. I also realize patrons don't want to deal with that. They don't want to have like, oh, here's something secret I'm working on. So maybe not that, maybe a split between the two. I'm not certain. Then there's the big ticket item, which the biggest ticket I have right now is the $50 sponsor the studio. This tier is for those who really want to help fund projects every month. This includes mods and materials or direct upgrades such as equipment or stations as the iceberg grows. You get access to everything I've said before. You also get, during every single one of these live streams, I have a thing that usually will pop up and says, support the channel, donate. Well, I want to have a crawl. Like, if I were sponsoring my live stream, every 2 minutes for 10 seconds, my logo would show up on the screen. In the corner, like somewhere where it's not like you can't see it, it will take up a decent amount of real estate on the screen, just like basically the same size as the donation bar as the recent donation, same size as that. Your company logo, your YouTube channel, whatever you want to put there, you have that space. And it will happen multiple times a stream. I don't want to just leave it on there because what winds up happening is your brain kind of just tunes out. But when it pops in every time, you would notice it. That's something that I would like to do. And I think that's worth... I do these live streams every Saturday at 5 p.m. I very rarely miss a live stream. It's basically not happened. Unless I'm in Texas because I don't have a laptop and a 5G hotspot to do it, I will be doing these live streams. And hey, when I get the money, I would love to, as long as I'm not like, oh, WALCOM has to be at this event. Well, hey, the Saturday Night Stream Thing's now going to be late night or earlier or the next day or something. I'd love to be able to stream when I'm out and about. Right now, it's just not possible. That would be something that you would get. There's also, you would get, in the $50 stream, you would get your name added to that part where I say special thanks to. That will be changed to like executive producer, and you'd be at the front of every video. People seem to miss these, and I'm not sure why. I always post the name, it's Zach. It's been Zach for God knows how long. Bless this soul. He's never asked anything out of me and has been giving me $50 a month. I wish they'd talk to me more. I don't even know if they watch my channel anymore, but bless them. They give me money every month, and I have their name at the front of every single one of my videos. They are executive producers of my videos. I can fit more names on there, and we just haven't. There's one other incentive that I want to do that I'm not sure where I want to put it, and it might be in the $5 tier. It does coincide with the stream, because right now the stream is kind of the go-to thing. I've thought about putting this at the end of my videos, but I don't know how to do it in a way. The problem with my content, as opposed to something like, I don't know, JonTron or Scott the Waz or whoever, all these other content producers that maybe make weekly content or 2 times a week content or once a week content or once every 2 weeks or once a month or whatever, they can have a crawl at the end of all their live streams, or like at the end of, or not their live streams, at the end of every one of their videos where they can have bloopers, or they can have like, I'm answering Patreon questions like Mandalore does. Since I'm making content 2 or 3 times a week, that doesn't really work. I could do once on a video where I feel like doing it, But that's kind of where that's at. I'm not making 20 to 30 minute long videos once a month or once a week. I'm making 8 to 12 minute videos 2 or 3 times a week, and I want to do more. So what I want to have is you guys that are patrons have the ability to leave an audio file in the Discord in a channel called the Answering Machine. You can basically, like, you're leaving a message. You can use your computer, you can use your phone, whatever you want to use. You basically leave me a message, and I would, you know how I used to do, like, they're kind of hard to do, but I would do like the breaks. I'd like, let's do a break, and I'll hit a button. I'll have like a 3 to 5 minute long segment of me standing in front, talking to the camera. I ran out of stuff to talk about. Not if I have, let's listen to let's take an answer, or I would basically say, let's take a call, and I'd hit the button, and it would go to a pre-recorded footage of me listening to your call and reacting to it. I could even do it live, but I think pre-recorded would be better for a variety of reasons. Why I don't do live calls is for the obvious trolling factor. But if I do things like, hey, Walcom, how come we've never seen the freaking Milsig video? What's up with that? And like, okay, here's something that I can answer directly. This is one of my patrons, blah, blah, blah. You can introduce yourself or not. It doesn't matter. And I could talk about that. And that would be in the live streams, or even maybe at the end of videos. I could, like, if it's not very long, I can, like, let's just take some calls at the end of my video. And I could, one of my funniest reactions or something like that to one of these calls, I could do that. And basically, to take these calls, I would just schedule a time Friday where I would sit here with the camera. This is the same camera I use to film all my videos, with the headphones, with the mic, listen to the thing, talk about it, record that, print. So if there's that's kind of my idea to do stuff in the future. I think that's a bit much for a $5 a month thing, but maybe it's not. I'd love to get your feedback on that, but I think that's a valuable incentive. And the thing with having them pre-recorded is I will hopefully be able to hire somebody to go through these and verify that they're cool, or pick me out the ones they liked the most. I don't know how I'm going to go about doing that yet, but you get it. If I'm making enough money, I can obviously pay somebody $30 to go through my Discord channel every week and pick out the ones they like the most. Besides using Patreon or sharing videos, what have you seen that really helps you? Like, do comments make a big difference? Yes and no. If you want to know the absolute secrets to YouTube, there is 2 factors. It is watch time, and it is click-through rate. More people who click on my videos and watch them longer directly correlates to the amount of success that I have as a channel. That's the facts. That's why you can't just upload videos all the time and expect success. It does happen, don't get me wrong. That's having a lot of fishing poles in one pond, but if there's no fish, it's not going to matter. Watching all the videos all the way through, liking the video, commenting the video, and if you have even if it's dead, if you have a Facebook, if you have a Twitter, and you hit that share button, that's a big spike. And if 100, if everybody did that, the channel would be massive. But of course, that would go for every YouTube channel. The way YouTube does it is if more people are watching your videos longer and more people are clicking on your videos, the more they push that video to other people. That's how that works. It's not like a secret, but that's how YouTube works. So maximizing click-through rate, the amount of people clicking to watch your video in the first place, and how long you keep them watching is important. I can point out that anywhere from 8 to 15,000 people a day are a new person to the channel a day. The point is, if I can get many of those new people to hit subscribe, YouTube goes, hey, we pushed this video to 15,000 people and 8,000 of them subscribed. Well, holy crap, we need to push this to more people. And if those people hit subscribe, they're going to keep pushing the videos more and more and more and more and more. That's how you appease the algorithm. It's not secretive. This all stuff that if you're a YouTuber, you can find analytics in your in like the YouTube Studio app. It's very, very simple. If you want to see something that'll blow your dang little mind, check this out. This scares me. So if I go to my reach And this is down from last week. You can see it's trending down right now. That's whatever. I can fix that. But I have to turn off spot focus. This number, that's impressions. 12.8 million times my channel has been pushed to subscribe, or to 2 people, just in general, 2 people. If 12 million people had clicked on my video, I would have essentially 12 million views. 6% of the time, those 12 million impressions are clicked. That led to, last month, 1.1 million views. But here's the kicker. I have 151,000, almost 152,000 subscribers right now. 363,000 people were unique to the channel. That means, individually, there was essentially 363,000 people who clicked on my channel. Individually. That's not reoccurring people. That's just in general. That does not count for the people that a large majority of my audience are people who come back to watch every single video I put out. That's what those numbers mean. And it's figuring out how to get more people to click and watch and make sure that impressions, that YouTube pushes it more people click on them, they watch the videos longer, maximizing those, because obviously it's within YouTube's best interest to push my videos to more people when my videos are getting views and making them money. If YouTube isn't making money, I'm not making money. And that's where watch hours and average view durations and stuff come in handy. It's difficult because, like, if I upload less, believe it or not, I tend to still get very good views. I'm not sure what happens if I upload more right now, which is why next week I'm going to try. I'm going to see what happens if I put out a video like every day. And if I'm still getting 20 to 30,000 views a video on every video I upload next week, my goal, number one goal from here on out, is to make sure that I upload daily. But if I see some videos only doing 8 to 10K, which I think is what will happen, because people are going to get sick of seeing me in their subscription box every day, potentially, then I can't do that. It's a delicate game, and I'm in this point where I have to try to figure out where I'm going to go from here on out. But that's YouTube stuff. Everybody thinks it's pretty easy. There's a lot that goes into it. It's all stuff that you have to... This doesn't even go into, like, how to get people to actually watch your content, it's tough. You're not wrong, Johnny, but that's only part of it. That's only part of it, yes. So, I may have a video out tomorrow. In fact, I should have a video out tomorrow. But I'm basically, like, everything that I've been kind of holding back, like the Creek cut. I don't know how I'm going to get 8 minutes of footage out of that, but I'm going to try. But there's videos that I've shot, like the Pharaoh with the Plus Ultra is what the video is called. I've already shot that. I've already shot the Milsig. I might do that next week, but that's a long edit. And I hate that video because I'm so burnt on the Milsig. I got the Ultra Focus. I've got the Zesty SMG. I've got talkie bits that I want to do. Like there's I'm going to put up a poll probably tomorrow that will lean into this talkie bit, but there's things that I want to talk about. I also want to try to push more content to the channel in a constructive way that is like for people who don't know what the heck we're doing. If you had no idea, you watched me on the Modern Rogue, you're like, holy crap, I want to do that. I want to go shoot my friends with foam darts and leave welts. How do I do that? There's nothing. There is nothing. And it's not like you can make one whole guide. Maybe I could. Maybe I could do like the ultimate 2021 guide to nerfing. I could do that. That's not a bad idea, actually. But I need to cover topics like short darts, all the ammo types. I need to cover scar barrels. I need to cover lipos, batteries. I need to cover how to maximize springers. I need to cover all these different things that can help you get into the hobby. Because right now, there is none. You can watch videos from 6 years ago, or you can find maybe a weird video from somebody who maybe didn't have the same production values, or maybe you just thought they were boring. That's where I come in. I can hopefully be entertaining and exciting and give you the information you need. I had I don't remember who it was. It was some person I was super salty about in the Modern Rogue comments because they're like, I don't know what Walcom's talking about. In the hobby, we call these the Drain Blasters. Yeah, they call them Drain Blasters. And it's like, you need to get somebody who knows what they're talking about. It's like, I didn't call it a Drain Blaster because that's what we call them, but that's not what the thing is called. And to people who aren't in the hobby, they don't know that. So I could still have called it that, but when I was in that studio, I thought they wanted to know what the actual product was called. And they're not called Drain Blasters, believe it or not. They're called a lot of different things. Now, funny enough, if you search for Drain Blaster on Amazon, you will come up with those products, which is great. But, did you ever expect your channel to grow this big? Hell no. I wasn't even monetized until I had like 7,000 subscribers. Do I expect it to hopefully get bigger? Yes. I'm really hoping I can, because how many people are into NERF? Like, for real. How many people? Like, NERF is the 4th largest toy brand in the freaking world right now. Why are all of us trying so hard to get views? Like, it blows my mind. Like, we all suck so hard at this. Honestly, a basic video series could be cool. So you're not wrong. But the problem is I can't just do, like, here's the thing. You already know everything. If you know what a scar barrel is, why are you going to click on a video about scar barrels? Kicker, I have this badass screen and I got like 15 different scar barrels and I'm going to equivalently show what each one of them does. Maybe one's better than the others and maybe I won't even say which one's better. I'm just going to do 4 minutes solid of just highly edited of pop, 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 pop at the target with different scar barrels and label the scar barrel I'm using with a picture of it. And it's going to be like a video game. And then we can just come to it. That's what scar barrels do. Like and subscribe. That's the whole point. I'm not going to do like, oh, here's a scar barrel video, when if you're like, I already know what a scar barrel is, screw this. I have to make it funny, informative, and have a reason for both new people and old people alike to watch it. I still remember the vids when it's just hands on a PSP Vita. Ah, that's a good one, isn't it? Answering questions, answering YouTube comments with my PS Vita. God, I miss my Vita. Will there be more 50-tier slots? Yes, I will. I might do it tomorrow if all this, I'm going to post this in the Discord in the secret chat, the actual thing that I'm working on. I'm going to make at least 10 because there's only so many names I could fit on the screen for executive producers, but I'm also totally fine with just starting the video with me, like, you know, playing around with a box or something like that for the first 10 seconds, being like executive producers. Nostalgia Nerd basically does that. I'll do the same thing. Screw it. Collab with Luke to do that guide with Monty. I would love to. Are you kidding me? He's the one who sells all the stuff that I'm going to be talking about. It's like, there's no reason for me not to, you know? It's like, that's just like, hey, can we do this thing? Sure. Noah Stout keeps asking, how did you come up with your name WALCOMS7? It's actually the name of an SMG from a video game called Guns the Duel. I use them, use it quite a lot in my videos. It's actually my opening, the weird, like, melodic, whatever you want to call it, violin sound with the ho and whatever in it. That's one of the background themes from Guns the Duel. And Walcom was a manufacturer in that game. There's no lore, or there's no story, but there's kind of little lore tidbits. Walcom was a manufacturer of SMGs, rocket launchers, and rifles. Walcom weapons, like Borderlands, if you were to think about the different manufacturers, Walcom weapons were highly inaccurate, but had pretty good magazine size and did a lot of damage with a slow fire rate. So like a Walcom Warrior 88 would be like pretty slow firing at about 600 RPM, but deal like 24 damage a shot from a 25 round magazine. A Maxwell SWT would be a 40 round mag, super accurate, super fast firing, but only do 9 damage a shot. So overall, in terms of like, and fire at like literally like 1300 RPM. So the difference between the two weapons would be the Maxwell's, if you could just land your shots and keep that going, as long as you're not like tracking targets left and right, the Maxwell SWAT's gonna hurt way more than the Walcom. But if a target was moving around a lot and you needed to just chunk off damage, the Walcom weapon would be better. The Walcom S7s were the highest level SMGs that Walcom made. They did like 25 damage a shot. which is really high. The WALCOMS7 times 2 was what I would have that's like, yeah. Those were 25 damage times 2. If you shot somebody in the head, I think the most amount of health you could have, like maxed out, like the most, if you were a health build, you could have like 120 something health. You could theoretically 3-shot someone if you hit them in the head with all 3 shots. And it's when it shoots, the actual hit marker would be 2 bullets side by side, but that could still technically dome someone. So if you went pop, pop, pop with those SMGs all in the head and bypassed armor completely, you drop someone instantly. The WALCOMS7s were like the equalizer, because if you ever played guns, there was something called K-style. Whether that stood for Korean style, which I believe it stood for, or it stood for katana style, I don't know. It's changed so many damn times you never know. But basically what it is a variety of delay canceling moves in the game. This is a third-person action shooter where you can make your loadout between 2 ranged weapons and 1 melee weapon. You didn't have to have any of them, but you could. You can never have 2 melee weapons. You could never have 3 ranged weapons, but you had a weight system. Every weapon had weight. All your consumables would have weight, grenades, health kits, ammo kits, stuff like that. You had rings that you could put on that would increase health, weight load, stuff like that. Building a character in guns was cool. But Walcom was like, the Walcom SMGs were 25 damage a shot. They were downright lethal. The reason why they were so good is because K-styling was a variety of delay canceling things that completely destroyed the game. Many people will tell you it's what made guns fun. They're wrong. They're stupid. I hate them. Because now the game doesn't exist and there's nothing like guns, and there never will be anything like guns. But basically what happens is, with a katana, a melee weapon, there's daggers, there's kadachis, there were other melee weapons, but with a katana, you could slash, so you could click the mouse button to slash, and then you could hit shift to block. You could block bullets on your upper half with a katana. But what that would do is your character would basically just block, but the slash would still happen. Your character, if you were to just slash, would obviously swing a sword, but you could cancel that completely by hitting block. So, a very basic katana style or K-style move would be to jump. Obviously you can jump in the game. Dash. This is double tapping the direction key. Dashing happened when you had a melee weapon out. Your character would basically just zoom, slide very quickly. If you had a melee weapon out and you double tap the direction key, your character would do like a very long jump and then a tumble, Matrix style. Super cool and effective. Less effective because of this thing that I'm about to tell you about. But basically you jump, dash. While you're dashing, you would click to slash and cancel out that slash with a block. And your character would basically do this weird movement where it would jump up and float to the side very quickly. And you would repeat this, so your character would constantly be bouncing around like this. If anybody was close to you, they were still getting hit by your sword slashes. And you could slash faster because you were jumping up and down like a madman, canceling out. Like instead of going, huh, 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 you were going, huh, 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 over and over and over again. Now, you throw in something called, well, there's a double butter. That was called a butterfly. There's a double butterfly. I don't remember the exact combination, but it's like jump, dash, slash, block, jump, and just repeat that. You're literally doing like 17 things to move. I'm not even joking. Reload cancel. You cannot equip 2 of the same weapon. You can, however, equip 2 weapons that were not the same, but in the same category. So, you could have a Breaker 8 shotgun and a Breaker 7 shotgun. Not 2 Breaker 8s, not 2 Breaker 7s, but you could have a Breaker 8 and a Breaker 7. If you are to shoot your shotgun, then hit reload while holding down the firing button and swapping to the other shotgun, what would essentially happen is you cut out the animation of you swapping the weapon and you cut out the pump action of the shotgun, which would wind up with your character spamming shotgun shots as fast as you could do this thing. So, shotguns are obviously basically lethal insta-kill. Breakers had, I think, 4 to 5 shots per mag, and then you'd have to reload them. If you had 2 breakers, you had 10 shots, and you were basically going pop, 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 every single one of those shots being a potential instant kill. Combine that with the butterfly thingy, and you have a character that's going like this, constantly sword slashing and blocking most of the time, moving insanely fast, while also spamming shotgun shots, and you have arthritis. It ruined the damn game. Now, this was only a problem because most of the maps were super claustrophobic and designed to be anywhere between, like, rolling forward with SMGs and then pulling out a dagger and stabbing someone and then ducking around a corner and throwing a grenade. Well, now all you have to do is go like this, and anybody close to you is stun locked by the sword slashes, and also you're spamming shotguns that are an instant kill. Everybody did this. You could not play the game. You basically had to learn how to do this to play the video game, and it wasn't something that you could just do. There was no tutorial. You'd have to read a guide on the internet, and this was before really YouTube was a thing. Nowadays, you can find videos. You'll notice most of them are very old, but you can find videos on how to do all this stuff. The S7s, the WALCOM S7s, this is where things got spicy. Now, typically automatics were practically useless, but the S7s had 2 bullets, did essentially 50 damage if you hit both those bullets, which we establish is basically an insta-kill, and you had a magazine of like 28 shots per SMG. So 28, when you're holding down the button, it's 28 shots, but you're shooting 54 bullets, whatever. That upset the people who did all this crazy delay canceling stuff. Because if you were at a moderate enough distance, the shotgun, while it would still hurt, would not be insta-kill. And you weren't getting stun locked by their katana hits. And also, you can dodge roll and run on walls like it's a Matrix because Guns was the best game ever, and spray them in the face with SMGs. Or if they're at a very long range, you just sit down a hallway and just fill the hallway full of SMG fire. Awesome! And when they brought out the weapons that were level 50 and above, they buffed everything pretty much massively. Shotguns got 1 less carry weight. The Breaker 9, instead of being 13 weight, was 12 weight. Damage, magazine, fire rate, everything was the same. The S7s, the WALCOM XLSs were like, I think 16 damage. The WALCOM S7s were like 25. It was like literally like a huge buff in damage. And that was their way of basically going, screw these kids who have ruined our game and forced us to design our entire game around this stupid thing. Now you can use a pair of SMGs and do more damage than them. Now, these SMGs were not accurate, they were not reliable, but if the less accurate they were, the better they were for hitting people moving like this quickly. And because the shot pattern was wide, yeah, it became a problem. And here's what killed Guns. You would do this, you'd go into a room and just start playing. You'd join a game, like you'd make a room essentially and start a game and people would join, you'd play. If you had the S7s and you were winning, like if you killed somebody, they were doing like fancy sword stuff. Imagine that scene from, was it Raiders of the Lost Ark, where the guy's doing all the fancy sword things and frickin' Indy just shoots him with a pistol and puts his pistol away and the guy with the sword dies. It's essentially that, except for what would happen was they would vote kick you out of the room. And people would think instinctively it would be a hacker or somebody's cheating. So you would basically be kicked from the room immediately because people just instinctively hit the yes button and you couldn't play the game. And so anytime that you were faced against somebody doing that, they felt it as dishonorable because they spent all this year and all the medical to get carpal tunnel to play this video game to hate themselves later on in life. And you, for playing the game the way it was originally meant to be played, were punished and kicked because you weren't up to their level even though you were winning. It was called being a spraying noob. WALCOM carries out things like me when I'm way more annoying. I thought I was telling a pretty interesting story, I'm sorry. I was enjoying it immensely. I'm a huge, obviously, I literally based my entire persona around this video game that I haven't played in a decade. That's not true, I played a private server like 2 weeks ago or 2 months ago on a live stream. But that's the entire story about why the guy who probably asked that is probably not even in the chat anymore. But that's why I'm called WALCOM S7s, because I liked WALCOM as a manufacturer. I liked the SMGs as a cool name in my opinion. So instead of just being called WALCOM, I'm called WALCOM S7. Which I didn't like having the S7 in the name, but it's worked. I mean, Mr. Beast still goes by like Mr. Beast, 6000 or whatever. Well, it's an origin story. This is true. I would do dirty things to have a game like Guns or S4 League even come back. S4 League died for a variety of other reasons. It was the only other thing that was even remotely like Guns. And that is a game where it mixes ranged and melee combat with an advanced movement system and a pretty high time to kill. Fights in Guns could last anywhere upwards of like 20 to 30 seconds. I know people hate that now. Like, God, people hate not killing somebody in one hit. There is essentially no game. Third-person shooters are a rarity, and there is actually a game I have played very recently that somewhat brought that warm feeling back, and that is the Vampire the Masquerade Blood Hunt. You've probably never heard of it, and I don't blame you. I found it by complete accident, but
Your
man,
next tag back should just straight up be a Forgotten Weapons parody in format and presentation.
That's actually one of the reasons why I'm growing out the long hair. That is my plan for this year's, or 2022's, what do you call it? Frickin' April Fools. I actually have talked to Ian through email about potentially doing a Forgotten Weapons on, like, a Nerf gun, which he said it was kind of funny, but not interested in doing that. I'm like, fair enough. So I'm gonna grow out the Jesus hair. And I'm gonna do it. I just can't get his facial hair. I can't grow a mustache to save my freaking life. But thank you very much for the $5 super chat, Wagon Waifu. Better than my backstory, I had Thor as a nickname in high school, and one person was like, but you're a Mexican. And I'm like, I'm Lucha Thor. Hey, that works, man. You dropped the S7 for a while, it felt odd. I did. The reason why I brought it back was SEO reasons. Blood Hunt or Bloodlines? Blood Hunt. It is a battle royale, stick with me here, but it has that same kind of advanced movement. You can run on walls, you can jump, double jump, glide, do all sorts of fun stuff. And there's a variety of activated abilities that lead your character to do very interesting movement mechanic-wise. It also has the Apex Legends like slide with momentum, but with the running on walls and stuff, God, it's kind of freaking cool. Problem, you die instantly in this damn game. And it's a battle royale. And I mean instantly. You die, it's like the fastest time to kill of any game I've played in a very long time. This is a problem for a variety of reasons. The battle royale aspect is like, you obviously still have to loot. You have to find weapons and find upgrades and stuff to make your character better and avoid the zone to be the last one standing. In Blood Hunt, because it's a battle royale and with an advanced movement system, you move really fast. The map is also small, and I think there's like 60 people a match. Because of this, anytime a firefight starts up at all, it does not matter what you're doing. If there is a firefight, you're either running into that firefight or you're in that firefight and there's like 5 or 6 people running towards that firefight. So the second you win a fight, 3 or 4 more people are there. It's not even third partying. It's like 5th or 6th person partying. Like, more people than can fit in your dad's Escalade party. It's dumb. That game's movement system and everything works directly against being a battle royale. And I swear to Crom, I hope the developers go, screw this battle. We'll have the battle royale, but let's make a deathmatch mode. And then, holy crap, that game's going to be freaking fantastic. I know a little bit about Vampire the Masquerade, mostly through videos from like the Spoony one, like when he'd do his Counter Monkey stuff and talk about tabletop or LARPing Vampire the Masquerade. But I've never played Vampire the Masquerade, like the game, like the one that's good. It's on my list, but when am I going to play that game? I still haven't. I know it's good. The one that was that I know it. I remember this specifically because it came out before Half-Life 2. Besides having the source, despite the fact that it was utilizing the Source engine, which upset Valve, it came out like a couple of weeks or a month before Half-Life 2. But I really like what they had going on, and I hope they either make it harder to kill people or they make it not a battle royale. Do you make your own designs in CAD? I don't know anything about like actually using CAD software. I use Tinkercad, Derek. It's free, Tinkercad, and it might look very rudimentary, but you can do some pretty impressive stuff in Tinkercad. That's like your gateway into doing 3D design. You can export stuff from Tinkercad, which is a web browser based solution. You can export stuff from that as STLs. And also there's Fusion 360, which lets you do like homegrown whatever, but I think you can only do like 10 objects at a time or something like that. Titanfall makes Fortnite meets Apex Legends. See, there's a limit. Like Titanfall, I hate the movement in Titanfall. I can't stand it. Because it's that like Tribes, Quake, momentum bunny hopping movement, and I hate that. Hey, Fallon, nice to see you. Thanks for coming out. Can't wait to buy the overpriced Nerf Rival Reflex sight so I can complete my arsenal. I do have one, Jakku. Only the one. And it's actually sitting on the table right in front of me. Because I pulled it out of the box like, you're special. They're really nice. They're huge, but they're really cool looking. Tinker Cat is bussin'? Yeah. Can't wait to buy the overpriced Nerf Rival Reflex sight so I can complete my arsenal. I just read that, dumb brain. Could you do a Rival side-mounted hopper-fed blaster? I mean, yeah, that's what a proton pack essentially is. Do you think the Nerf will bring back the Strife? I mean, you can still buy one off Walmart. And Amazon, both, but they both still have Strifes. Do you think the Flip line should continue with the Flip 64 and 128? Hell no. The Flip 16 barely worked. I have little hope that the Flip 32 will be very good at all. The fact that it was delayed makes me wonder even more. Unfortunately, I have a Shockwave 2.0. I don't know why, but I like using magazines for some reasons. Any recommendations? I mean, yeah, if you live in the US, go to Walmart and pick up any, like a Spectrum, Adventure Force Spectrum, or, I mean, there's the Nerf Roblox Pulse Laser or whatever. I mean, there's a lot of things. Like, magazines are the most common type of blasters. I typically don't even like magazines. Do you think Nerf will change next year? I think hopefully this is the year they stop adding new ammo types and expand upon the ammo types they already have. I'm hoping to see more Ultra Pinpoint and Ultra Blasters being developed. I hope to see more Hyper. It's kind of scary that they released, think about that. They released Hyper back in, what, we knew about Hyper in like, I think like December of last year. They released Hyper, I think it came out around April, finally, but we knew about it for a while. We have no idea. Like, it's kind of weird. We don't know of any new Ultra. All the Ultras out now that I know of. We don't know of any new Hyper whatsoever. And Ultra has had how many blasters released in like 2 years compared to Ultra? Or compared to Hyper? Hyper's had like nothing. And I'm hoping that maybe they're taking more time to develop Hyper further because it seemed kind of like hit and miss. But yeah, I hope they just expand. Like, we got Mega XL, I keep forgetting that's a thing. Like, Nerf is just like, well, screw it. We're just going to make new ammo types. New ammo type. Hey, bro, new ammo type. You want new ammo type? Here's more new ammo type. And they're doing that because they're mad that, like, Dart Zone makes Rival. And Dart Zone makes normal darts. And Buzzbee, or Zuru makes Rival. So they're making all these new ammo types with all these proprietary expensive darts. And then does nothing with them. I hate it. It upsets me greatly. So I'm hoping we just see them double down and just make better blasters. I hope we see Hyper with magazines. That's what I'm hoping. I know it's an uphill battle, but I'm hoping we see it. What blaster came out with a 35 round drum? That was the Raider, and it was also with one of the Terra Scout, I believe. The new Terra Scout. It's like Terra Scout NX or something like that. The black one. Do you shoot real guns? Yes, I have several firearms. I'm pro Second Amendment. What is the cheapest Nerf blaster you know of from 2020 that's tactical? Oh, God. What kind of question is that? Oh, my brain hurts. Cheapest blaster from 2020. That's tactical. I don't know. Somebody else in the comments will have to read. That just hurts my brain thinking about. How do I ask out my crush? You do it when you're sure that you won't ruin your friendship. And you do it in a way that doesn't feel like it's something that's like definite. It's like you want to make sure that there's an exit point in this conversation. There's a variety of ways you can go about that. But you want to make sure that you don't be like, hey, I like you. Do you want to go out? Because if they say no, what's going to wind up happening is you might be hurt, and you got to make sure that you're like, oh, that's cool. That happens. But the problem is that, like, that could lead to that relationship if you guys were friends. That could end up ruining that friendship. It just kind of makes things awkward and weird. This becomes less of a problem the older you get, because even if they say no, usually it's not hard to stick around and be friends, and sometimes that can lead to a relationship anyway, because they know you like them, and they might grow to like you more. That's a thing that could happen. I wouldn't worry too much about relationships in like middle school, high school. They're fun, but very seldom do they lead to anything, and it's really disheartening to me because I've known of people who have hurt themselves or worse over relationships in high school and middle school and stuff like that, which is ridiculous because in the grand scheme of things, they mean nothing. They are trial runs for what will prepare you for essentially college, and college is where most people meet their significant other that they get married to. So, I'm not one to, like, look at me, I'm straight up pussy repellent. That's not the point. The point is, like, there are ways to go about, like, you know, hey, there's ways I would do it really casually, because I'm usually that kind of person. You're like, hey, we seem to be having a good time here. If you're hanging out with a friend, you're with them a lot, and you like them, be like, hey, I don't want to, like, ruin a relationship or anything like that, but do you have any interest of going to Beyond Friends? And they're like, no, not really. I'm like, cool, that's fine. Kind of expected it, but hey, that's fine. You want to go to blah, 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 keep doing the thing, whatever, it doesn't matter. You want to try to make it as nonchalant and not have, like, definite yes or no. There's ways to go about it where you're not locked into that. But of course, every person is different. So if you're just mimicking what somebody else is saying, people are going to know it's not you saying. And also, some people, guys and girls, sometimes they like the direct approach. Sometimes they hate the direct approach. And sometimes their tsundere is F and they don't know what they like. Da-da-dum. Best tactical stuff is above 25 bucks. Yeah, normally if you're going for something that's like tactical, you want something that's decent, has upgrade potentials, has magazines and all that stuff, and that's usually like the Strife, or like the Retaliator or something like that. Usually it's a bit more expensive. There are things that are under that that aren't tactical, like there's like Buzzbee blasters that are cheap that are pretty effective, but you should make videos shooting Nerf blasters on the firearms they're modeled after. No, because YouTube hates firearms, and kind of the last thing I want to do is mix real steel and firearms too close together. I just said that real steel and Nerf blasters too close together. There we go. Thoughts on Daybreak flywheels? I've never been able to hit the mythical high performance numbers out of the Daybreaks that other people have. I do have several pairs of them. However, I do have a blaster with pulsars, and pulsars are legit. I also have Kiraka barrels. Best Nerf blaster under $15 USD. The Jolt. I don't know. Find something on sale. That's actually probably it. Find something on sale. What if I take an Nerf blaster to an airsoft war? You better hope it's something like a Swift or a M20. Yeah, Joel, I wish I did more with my lightning bug, but it's kind of hard to do a video on just this thing. I love it. Zach, you've fallen in love with this. I liked this a lot because Zach basically made this a long time ago, and I was like, holy crap, it's just a small mag-fed, blaster. And then he made the lightning bug, and for like 65 bucks or whatever, especially since you can still pick like what filaments you kind of want out of what he has, like, that's nothing. And it's even weirder, it's like the flywheels are printed, but they work perfectly fine. Hits 130, 140 FPS most of the time. Mag, everything works great. Trigger pull is excellent, in my opinion. Problems. It looks like this. I don't know what this like double stuffed Oreo shelf is for right here. I don't know what this gap is for. I'm not trying to say this to be mean, but obviously they're not an artist. But other than that, like, I mean, it's great. It's fine. I think it's very good. If you have lipos and you want a small pistol, this is a good option. I want to figure out a way to do a video on it. I might sneak it into another video. I'll keep going for a couple of minutes, and then we're going to shut it off in about 3 hours. I mean, we'd be going for about 3 hours now. I'm going back into the dating market. Good effing luck. God, I would not want to be dating. If I wasn't in a relationship, I don't think I'd be in a relationship. It's just not worth my time. Dating now has got to be awful. How fast did you do that show? I think it's like 120 to 140 is what I would get with it. What would you say is the best SMG Nerf gun? Kind of like the Lepus. The Lepus is an auto pistol. SMG? The Phoenix, maybe? I mean, that's typically a pretty good entry point because it's already built. You just need the lipos. What would I use as an SMG right now? I guess you could technically say the Woozy. That also kind of fits into like the auto pistol category though. But you can put like a stock point on these as well and foregrips. That is an option. I typically equate an SMG to be something that has the option to use a stock and a grip, but doesn't need it. Like we can go through like the list of like the amp is an SMG in my opinion. Like the thing that screams to me right now so much is the Phoenix, and I don't know why. That's a pretty solid option. The Percy's is an SMG. I'd consider that an SMG. It's barely an SMG. Strife, if you kit it out, you can cut down a rapid strike and make it an SMG. I'd almost consider the Turbine to be an SMG by itself, but that's kind of hard to mod. I want to put Daybreak setup I have lying around in that. I mean, I don't know. Maybe? It uses 3D printed flywheels, and I've never thought about replacing them. What would be your favorite airsoft attachments for Nerf? We use stocks pretty often if they're, what do you call them? The stocks that you use for airsoft. Are buffer tube stocks, also real still. And sights and grips. Those are kind of the three things that we use a lot from the airsoft crowd. Thank you, Cia Thoris. You're not wrong, Sean. You're not wrong. I know that it's pretty complicated to deal with that stuff nowadays. Oh shoot, Monday's the 20th? What's happening on the 20th? Anybody play Chapter 2 of Deltarune? I'm a good portion into it. I love it so far. It started off really slow for me. I'm also kind of mad that I couldn't use my save file that I don't even think I have anymore. The one that I beat Jevel with and stuff like that, but it doesn't matter, I don't think. Have a good night, Ricardo. Tactical gear can be as cheap or as expensive as you want to make it, Johnny. Oh, is it seriously being delivered Monday now? I counted Wednesday. That was my like, oh, it's gonna be here Wednesday. Let me check. Show details. Does it give you an actual delivery date? I'm gonna try. Yeah, it still says delivery date unknown. Are we talking about the same thing? Or did you put that? I can also check for that on USPS. I didn't think about that. Aha! Yes, you checked it on USPS. It's in transit. Tracking history. Processed through facility. Woot! That's like 2 days from now. God, I'll be super stoked if we get that Tuesday. Is that what my phone just vibrated for? Aha. Pardon me. Opinions, expectations for the Dark Zone DCP Mark III. I'm surprised there's still 77 people watching this chat, so I'm going to drop a bomb. I'm not going to I'm not going to reveal too much just in case there is some, they didn't get back to me. I'm just going to say that the Dart Zone Pro Mark III is coming sooner than you'd think. Start saving your pennies. Be ready. And, yeah, I'll give it a fair shake. I'm excited to see what it can do. Again, I'm going to look at this as the lens of somebody who does not have access to lipos and stuff and wants a flywheeler. Woo! Yeah, baby! That's what I'm talking about! Woo! I can't really do it. I have to actually see the clip, but I know what you're referencing. Are you familiar with the Venturi Mark 8? I have 2 hardware kits for older versions of it. I'm really considering it super hand cannon. I want one. I really do. I have to print one, and that's where things get salty. I really want to, like, I'm sure it's a great freaking blaster. I just don't know when I'm ever going to print one out. But I do apparently have a hardware kit. 2. An older one and an old one. Hey, I'm older than you. I'm 35. Not by enough. You're not older than me enough that it matters. Should I buy the Adventure Force Spectrum, even if I have a Strife with attachments? Honestly, Gamer Kid, you could probably skip the Spectrum at that point. Wait. You have a Strife, but it's not modified? Then you probably like the Spectrum. If you plan on modding a Strife, then you can skip the Spectrum. What 3D printer do I have? Currently on my workbench, I have my original CR10, the original CR10. I have Direct Drive installed on it. I have dual Z-axis installed on it. I need to buy a new motherboard for it so I can upgrade that fully. Because right now I can't actually save the settings for the Direct Drive. I have to run a print with G-code that edits the printer, but the second it turns off, then it ruins that G-code. But, yeah, I have, the CR10's great. I need a little bit more stuff for it to make it super, super, super legit. But for the time I've had and the money put into it, I'm happy. I have a CR6. That's an auto bed leveling, essentially Ender 3. Very nice printer. Get some good prints out of it. Love it a lot. And recently I got a CR10 Smart sent to me directly from Creality to do a video on. Problem. When they sent it out to me, the printer wasn't quite ready. And it was only like literally as of 2 days ago that this printer is actually ready for me to say, yeah, you could buy it. Because the prints I got off of it now are pretty freaking good. And I'm happy with it. Look up the Mark 8. No, I've seen it, Jonathan. I have. I just don't have that kind of scratch around. Hey, I left this comment on your Gecko video, but I think someone comes up with a folding stock. I have talked about that. I kind of want a stock for my Gecko. I want a thumbhole stock for my Gecko. I want to turn it into a little PDW looking thing. Oh, snap. That package I sent you was delivered today according to USPS. Good to know. Problem, I get mail sent to a P.O. box, and I don't get notifications for that because it's a shared P.O. box with Flux, but the wife does have a key, so she can check that when she goes to work. It's literally right next to her work. It's in the same building, so she can check it and grab the ones that's for me. That's good, because like I said, I printed new stuff out, but I'd love to see what your... I want to compare our print qualities. I prefer orange juice over apple juice. You are directly wrong, Gamer Kid. Apple juice is superior. Imagine not thinking that. Hey, Otto, we're just about done here. Dart Zone Pro Mark III, coming out sooner than you think. Start saving your money. Spaz 12 style folding stock for the Conquest Pro. Could be cool. Yeah, no, that could be awesome if it's like... It couldn't be 3D printed, I don't think. Orange Juice FTW. We will fight, Lucha, and it will be legendary. CR10 Smart looks nice. Once it starts working, it's freaking great. I'm pretty happy with it now. I have to print more on it, but I'm rather pleased with it so far. Going to my first Airsoft game on the 25th. Nice. I have not been to any official Airsoft game in my life. I have done Airsoft backyard battles, or we used to go into the woods and shoot each other with them. But we also didn't have, like, what I have. That bolt-action Airsoft I have is stupid good. Watermelon juice? Ooh. Them's fight words. All right, I think we're going to close things down because we've been going for 3 hours. I'm hungry. I'm kind of tired. It's been a long day. Wish I knew why this clog happened on this thing. It just seemed to happen at one specific point. Bro, how would you watch that TV behind the couch? That TV is not meant for the couch. It's for when you're over on the other side of the room. You can still see it. If I turn it on, it mirrors my computer monitors. So it's like when I'm working on stuff like on the other side of the room, I use that TV. I will most likely get another TV to put somewhere else in the room that can be watched. The couch is for like the computer setup, kinda. Petchy can clog up, it's finicky. Good to know. Plus, he can turn around. This is true. I have watched plenty of stuff just sitting from here. I have seen it, Jonathan. I have. So, let's say goodnight to everybody in the chat. It's been a pretty fun stream. Thanks for joining me. Wish Lucha was here. What the heck, Lucha? Everybody shame Lucha in the comments. Oh, I have to do it on this side. Participants! Thank you very much! Andrew Altman, Boris the Cat 101, Carson Holt, Danny O 568, Carl Strand, Detroit Dartworks, Elijah Burley, Gamer Kid, Homely 665, our beautiful moderator, Jeremy Castro with a Nerf Rival Charger, Joe Belcher, Jonathan Honeycutt, Johnny Urban Woodsman, Landon Smith, LB Attempts YouTube, Luchathor13, our also beautiful moderator, Milky, Mr. Blues, Nerf King, Noah Mallory, Noah Stout, Otto Maddox, Parker D, Ricky Rodriguez, Sean Mullen, Shinryu X, Shortman13, Silicone Sword, some random content creator, Spartan412, The Commandant, The Drifter, The Grim Lord, Ty, Wagon Waifu, Travis Gallagher, your friendly neighborhood nerfer, YX Waffles, and our last beautiful moderator, Zach Kotechka. Thank you very much for watching this live stream. We do these live streams every Saturday night starting at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I will also be live streaming on Twitch more, probably not a whole lot more until New World comes out. That's not next week, but the week after at the end of the month. And you will see me stream a lot on Twitch for New World because I'm going to be playing a lot of New World. Love that game. So, thank you very much. I'll leave you with the rest of the song, and I will see you maybe tomorrow, most likely Monday with a brand new video. Thank you very much for your support. Seriously, McDoyle, NSA Key, everybody who donated, you guys are amazing. You helped me out so much, and I cannot thank you enough. Love you all. See you soon. How do I, oh right, I got a button for this.